planted.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to SpikeTalk episode 43. I'm your host, Baby. I got my co-host Ross with me here, as always, but we got two special guests today. We got Fayde and Ominous. Yo, by the way, congratulations in the first place. What a fucking debut international tournament for you guys. Seriously, amazing.
And even more impressive, the prophecy was fulfilled.
Prophecy was fulfilled.
Prophecy was fulfilled. That's the most important one. The prophecy was fulfilled.
I think that came into my mind like, fuck, am I gonna finish third?
Yeah.
That curse was too strong.
Funny thing is, we finished third in stage 1 as well.
I know.
China.
After being at the favorite going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Listen, that shit happens. But
Yeah.
I mean, going from the third seed to China to then going as far as you went, though, shows that like the seeding isn't always indicative. I mean, Sentinels last year, remember, was a 4th seed in the group of death, and then, you know.
I mean, but like, it's not like you guys didn't take out heavy hitters either, though. Like,
Took
you
out
guys
all
had
the
to
heavy
take
hitters.
out. Yeah, you guys took out Heretics, Gen
Gen
G.
G.
I mean, this shit was this
Down
was crazy.
6-0 twice.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
I'm
We'll
up
get into that.
6-0 and lose.
Yeah,
Like,
hold
unlucky,
on.
bro.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. Like Fayde and Ominous. I want to like get some background about you guys because I don't think like a lot of people, especially like in the Western side, exactly know. You know, like who you guys are, how you got into esports, and et cetera. Like, so how did you guys get in the first place? Like, what made you guys want to do esports, and where was your start?
I started joining esports back in 2017. I think it was Counter-Strike. I was an amateur and I was just competing in like local tournaments and stuff. The reason why I'm competing in esports was just because I used to do like basketball and I kind of hurt my leg, both my feet. So it's a very normal transition into esports since I like to compete with other people. And I found Counter-Strike back then. So yeah, it just kind of everything started from there, and being a player in CS and transitioning into a coach in Valorant because of my wrist injury it's kind of smooth, the transition, because being an IGL and leader back in CS and transitioning into a coach in Valorant, I think it's very natural for me. So when Valorant came out, I was reaching out to SMG, Zespi at that time, like, can I join you guys as a coach and stuff? Because Valorant seems very interesting to me. Like, I like to play games with abilities, and the concept of mixing abilities into a tactical shooter game is kind of like match made in heaven for me. So that just became the rest is history.
That's awesome. I have a question, like a follow-up question about like your time in basketball. I asked this to a lot of people that played sports before they joined esports. Is there like anything that you brought over from your time in like competing in basketball to like gaming, whether it's like through your coaching or you as an IGL, like for your team now?
You have to grind a lot. Yeah, you have to put in a lot of reps and stuff. Like reps, like repetitive like reps gives you very good habit dealing with problem. Like even in game, like I think every player, when it comes to like panic situation, you rely on your muscle memory a lot. So I think that's very similar to sports. So I always tell my players that you guys have to build like all this muscle memory, like in games, how you react to stuff. So during a clutch situation, you know how to play it quick. So SiuFat is the perfect example of that. He's been doing very well with clutch situations lately. Also, because he came from basketball as well, he kind of understand like how sports works. So it's very easy for me to coach him.
That's awesome. Frost, you needed to tell your team this, not this roster, but the other team this, because I mean you had some players not playing ranked, bro.
Yeah, well, it's true. The funny thing is the basketball thing. So I didn't know that actually until now. But you know, like one of the first things so I learned tactical CS from like Blade and Markaloff on Flipside back in like 2014, 2015. You know, one of the first times. So I had to learn it first. Then I became like an analyst for Blade, and then eventually like like a coach and stuff. One of the first things I brought to him was the similarity of CS, think CT side, and basketball defense. It's pretty much the same. You can go one flat, right? Man-to-man defense, help side defense, which is what we do now, right? Shifting a lane over. Box and one, a 4-1. Like all the strategies of basketball defense. I mean, the modern day is a little bit different, but like the older, slower basketball game, that's basically tactical CS. Even attack, you can do this. It's even the way we practice and train. What do? You go in walkthroughs. What do? You basically go over your with air, right? You go you do your whole execute in a server with nobody there. That's basically what you do in the drills in basketball. And then when you add people, you sometimes have like assistant coaches or other players or like the guys on the bench like pretending to play defense. It was so funny because because I came from Dota. So having to teach Eastern Ukrainians about basketball principles and then having it like blend into the whole CS:GO thing was literally the first thing I had, like the first contribution I had on Flipside was that. And even Navi now, because I like saw him. I saw my old guys at the Austin Major. There's so many techniques and principles that they have today that we had in 2015 that are still applying in CS2. And it's simply because sports are sports are sports. Like if you played soccer growing up, the same footwork will help you in basketball, will help you in, like. So it's so funny that you're a basketball guy because I didn't know that, but I just thought you should know that like in CS, some of the top guys like understand the deep correlation between basketball principles and tactical FPS that most people won't even recognize exist.
I mean, they are pretty similar, right? They are both team sports and 5-on-5, so it's only natural for us to like bring all those principles into Valorant, which is very applicable in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I did the same with hockey. It was also 5-on-5. It was like there's so many similarities, and especially like how to work within a team and stuff. Like it's not even just about like the drilling. It's like being like a people person and being a teammate and sportsmanship, whatever.
Oh, the best. I'll give Ban and Cruz big props for this because those two are the best teammates I think I've been around. And also, it's funny they played sports. Like Cruz actually is a basketball guy, which is kind of hilarious. But like
you guys are making me wish I played basketball. I'm not even.
No, but I think any sport for what you just said, any team organized sport function helps. Especially because most of the players I've had in esports did not come from a sports background. And I will argue that some of the people that have given me the biggest pains in terms of personality and like how they fit in the team were people that didn't.
And they're similar.
Yeah.
Like people that never tried to compete or being in a team environment before, it's very hard for them to work with other people. Like you have to actually impart a lot of like experience to them, like share a lot. This like teaching them how to work with other people. I think for me, in my case, it was Spring. It was actually not to say selfish, but it's hard for him to grasp the understanding of trying to have more teamwork within within our gameplays and stuff. So it kind of took some time for me to teach him those.
Yeah, because it's sacrifice, and that's a hard thing to teach people that aren't used to having to sacrifice for others. Because oftentimes, like I bring up Bannon as an example, and Governor too. Governor was 90% of the time used as a sacrificial lamb and space creator for us last year, right? Not once did he complain. Never, ever, ever did he complain. And Ban is the exact same. There were times where he had to open it up because we got stalled somewhere else and he had to take a bad fight and he had to do whatever. And it was just like, he never once complained like, yo, guys, I can't even fucking play the game. Never heard that one time. Not once. And it's usually people with sports backgrounds that have had to sacrifice or people that come from big families. That have
it helps with team bonding, I feel, if you have played in a group or a different sport or something previously. You bond easily with your teammates.
Yeah, I mean, you're forced to learn these skills, at a young age, and it's just like natural for you. And I feel like, like if you're growing up in gaming nowadays, especially with how toxic, I mean, every game has become.
Oh, it's got so
like
bad.
I know. The Zoomers now are crazy. The Zoomers now are crazy, dude. But we love them.
I remember
they're
the
insane.
We're talking.
They're insane.
I know you two remember. You guys remember when you guys were going to winners finals, and then when you finished third, all the shit that people were saying that you guys were fugazi, that Wolves is like, oh, that was just luck. Like, oh, that was a run. I remember this shit before Toronto on VLR. I remember laughing at this because me and Andre had a small conversation about this. Like, I was like, bro, watch. Wolves is the team that's going to do the best in China. I didn't think you would be Billy's top 3. I'm not going to lie to you, but still, I thought you would be like you know. But it's mad funny how that works, right?
I
I
think
mean, most
before
people who made tier lists put us on 12th anyway.
Yeah, bro, bro.
I think the confidence came from the scrims when we reached Toronto. Like in the beginning, our expectation was just to make it out of Swiss, but when we reached there, the scrims went pretty well, I would say. So it kind of gave us a lot of confidence that we can actually shoot back, and we have faith in our own strategies and stuff. So when we went into Aries series against even against Sentinels, we were actually very confident. But bearing we had some hiccups from some of our players, I think the whole tournament I was very satisfied with how my team performed.
Yeah, you guys played great. I mean, yeah, in that debut, I mean that's a tough first matchup though, and I could tell you guys were nervous, but the fact that you guys
It's the
still
perfect first matchup, though, because if you think about it,
Mm.
I've always said this: if you're the underdog, you want to play a really hard team first,
Yeah.
because the best chance for you to basically have an upset is like early. Later, it's going to be much harder.
Yeah.
The
I
funny
think we,
part,
we
yeah, go
learned
ahead.
a lot from the. I think we learned a lot from that match, especially the CT side on split. I mean, that is where we kind of got hiccups. But other than that, I still think we could have won that game, and maybe it would have gone to map 3.
Yeah, the split was so close. That's what I mean. Like it was so like some of these events are funny because like you guys had such a strong start. You were actually out macroing the living hell out of Sentinels, and Sentinels are like actually a really good split team. But like me and Frost were watch party again. We were like, dude, they're ending at the right side every time. Spring was getting all these kills, but then as soon as like it got out of hand on defense, that's when I could tell the nerves started kicking in, and like your players were like,
Yeah, because
oh
you press
shit,
more.
oh
Yeah.
shit, like we threw. You know what I mean? Like we probably should have won this. We threw.
Yeah.
And then like I kind of knew at that point, oh, this second map might be a little bit rough, and it ended up being that way. But then after that match, you guys just got your shit together, and it was just beautiful Valorant that I was watching. I mean, the fact that you guys like had not really much international experience, and you like were able to come back on like being down a bunch of rounds was insane.
Yeah, I will definitely talk about that more because I think some of the growth periods, for instance, like I did mention, I know we'll talk about it later, but you were down 6-0 twice against one of the better teams
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
still came back to win. That heart, that resilience is not really common.
In a first international debut, yeah.
Yeah,
All right, but we'll get to that.
That's
We'll get
not
to that.
normal.
Yeah. All right, Ominous, tell us a little bit about your story. We're gonna backtrack a little bit here. Tell us a little bit about your story, how you got into esports, how you ended up with this guy over here.
Okay, for me, if you talk about like playing, I think I've been playing since Counter-Strike Source from like 2013 or 14 or something.
I love Source,
And
by the way.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that game.
Substation, low.
There's this camp of people that play that support 1.6, and there's this other camp that supports Source. I'm from the Source side, uh, and
So
I
you're a
think
blasphemer.
yeah,
Blasphemer.
yeah.
Respect.
And
Respect.
I think when Valorant came out, I kind of like stopped playing CS for a bit, and I was doing my computer science degree, and it was my last year, and I was doing a lot of data stuff. And like you guys talk about football, I mean sports, but I watch a lot of football, soccer, and I used to do
Beautiful
like
game.
a lot of data stuff for soccer. And what happened was, I remember I read an article on HLTV like about data stuff. I don't know, I don't remember the article exactly, but it was like in 2020, and I found it very interesting, and I realized you could do all these kind of stuff with like esports data as well. And then around like first year of COVID, early 2020 or late 2020, I started posting about Valorant and CS and stuff. And then it kind of blew up. And then I worked with Run It Back on the data side initially. And I think 2021, I think Bleed reached out to me and I joined Bleed. And yeah, ever since then, I've been in Bleed. I worked with Legia. We went on the Ascension run, and then
Yeah, I know.
after the whole Bleed thing happened last year, then
Jeez.
I think Fayde messaged me around October, and then yeah, I've been with him since then. And as for Fayde, I know him since Team Secret in SEA. I mean, we have even played against each other.
Mhm.
I think in 2022, I believe, before franchise. Yeah.
Well, this is actually a great pivot point because I'm pretty sure Frost replaced you, right?
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he replaced
Frost
you on
was like
Seeker, right?
Frost
Frost, you
was like a
fucking piece
GM
of shit.
first. So
You
he kind
piece
of
of shit.
came in, and then he also brought, was it Jovi? Jovi was there with us as well.
Mhm.
it's okay. It doesn't matter. None of us stayed. Anyway, we all were sacked. All good.
Hey, you're better now though.
Oh no
Shit
no
on
no no no
Frost.
no.
Yeah,
It's shit
it's
on
funny
Frost.
because yeah. I mean, clearly was a mistake, and at the time too, when it happened, I didn't feel good about it. But it's like there's a balance you have to play with players. This is something I experienced a lot on 100 Thieves, and I won't get into it specifically, but like there's a lot of inexperience at the managerial level. And this is like an example of me making a bad choice, even with a lot of experience. But so the difficulty is, all right, so I've known the Team Secret ownership since like 2011, 2010, like Dota, right? Like Cyborg, Matt, and me in particular have gone back so far. Puppy, and everything. John, their CEO. So he came much later, like 2015, 2016. But like I've known them for a
TI
long
2
time.
and earlier, at least.
Yeah. Right. Steve was actually there. Steve knows these people in person also because of our time all in Dota 2. So I'm fresh out of a big hiatus because I don't know, I was ass, I guess, and everybody thought I was shit and I couldn't do anything in NA. So Secret, a lot of people knew about franchising. So Secret's like, yo, we need to be ready for this. So like, yo, help us like transition and like, So I go there and I won't bore most of you with the details, but we're preparing for like an Indian tournament and everything looks okay. But then on the back end, you get players hitting you up on the side like, yo, we have a problem. This doesn't fit. Like the people we have helping us are dog shit. So Andre, right? You've never been a GM, but as a player, when you don't have confidence in your coaching staff, you ask to replace them. And I'm like, and I have respect for Jovi. I like Fayde. Me and Fayde would talk like 2-3 times a week, and I'm in NA, by the way, and he's in Asia. So my spidey sense never went off. I mean, I brought Jovi to Talon. You see this, so it's not like I think Jovi is buns. So my radar never went off about like the coaching staff being bad. I thought we played kind of well. I think we beat like Heretics and some shit at the indie tournament opening, and then all of a sudden shit just starts to fall apart. And then you're just thinking like, wait, here I have some players that are basically like, they're no help. This is not that. So then I start observing practice, right? And then it just gets worse. So then it gets more conversational. Then I have upper management coming to me like, yo, what the fuck is this? What is going on? I'm like, no, everything's fine. Then they're looking at me like I'm trolling. And I'm like, wait, hold on. What the fuck is this? So then like you have a conversation with like team manager or players. We won't get into specifics. And then you ultimately decide, okay, even if, like, I have to take my bias out of it, right? Like, you guys know, I'm friends with Jovi, I'm friends with Fayde. I have to take my bias out of it. At the end of the day, this is the 5-man roster. So sometimes things are just at an impasse and you can't, like, get this, like, so rather than try to beat a dead horse, you try to make the better decision, like, okay, fine. Who else can I bring in that I think is also smart and capable? And obviously everybody knows now Warbirds gets hired and all that stuff, but, like, I think coming out of that, one of the biggest things I learned was I fell under the same. So I criticized teams in Valorant for doing the same thing, where management just blindly listens to players. And I'm in a position where my spidey sense wasn't going off at all. And then I ultimately am forced to make a decision with players. So then the argument is, should I have been more forceful? Like, that's probably the thing I was so pissed off the most after post, was that I probably wasn't more forceful, because I'm smart enough, or I think I'm smart enough, that if I don't see a problem, where's the fucking problem? I have more experience than all those players times like a giant multiple anyway, right? And I think that's also why as I've gotten older and as I've gotten more frustrated with esports in general, now you see me both on the show or just in real life. Obviously, you guys remember the termy shit. Like, now I just don't give a fuck, because now I'm just like, all right, man. Like, I'm experienced enough. I'm self-aware enough that, like, I know if I fuck up, I'll just say sorry. I know, like, I've been around long enough that I'm not going to get, like, the rug pulled out from under me by people that know clearly much less than I. But that was an experience of me having to learn, like, dude, like, sometimes you just can't listen to some people, especially if the arguments aren't making concrete sense. But it is difficult when you have a group. Like, the group think is very strong. And there's like some balance that you have to have. And I don't think I did that very well. And I really regretted the decision, by the way, when you went to NIP. You know that? Which
that was
is
like a
probably
year
a good
later.
segue because I feel like, and I'm just going to say this honestly, I feel like the coach you were on Secret was dog shit compared to the coach you became on NIP. Because on NIP, you were creating metas that people still don't give you credit, like Deadlock. You were the first person to play Deadlock
Yeah.
competitively, and I noticed it early. And I wasn't even in your region at the time. Remember, I was with Furia, and I was hitting you up like, yo, I saw this game, some random fucking Chinese game. Remember, I hit you up and was like,
Yeah.
this Deadlock shit looks good as fuck. Tell me more about it. And then I started running it, you know, blah, 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 blah. But like, yeah, in truth, I think obviously you got better, but I think I remember regretting the decision even more for Secret when I saw what you did and what those players ended up doing on NIP. And now compare you today to that guy on NIP. That guy on NIP was dog shit. Right? Like it's this like natural
You always
evolution.
improve.
Yeah. And I think the level of growth you had from each stop made my decision in retrospect much worse.
So Fade, before you answer some questions about NIP, I want to talk about how you met SiuFat, because you had this run where you leave Secret, then you join Griffin, and if I'm not mistaken, that's where you first start teaming with SiuFat, right? So like you basically brought this guy from, hold on, it was Griffin Esports to, I don't know how to pronounce this, JJ How?
Yeah, GG Hao.
GGH.
Oh, GG How?
Just say JJH.
All right, JJH, and then you also were there with him on NIP.
Yeah.
So like, and then on NIP you also find Spring, correct?
Yes.
So like, what was that whole process like? Like you just knew that this was the guy that you were gonna stick with. Like, how did you see him develop, and then like joining your own, you know, or like as you're joining NIP?
So when I first met SiuFat was through scrims. I was still in, I think, Secret at the time. So there's this random guy that came and hit me up in the DM like, yo, can you please guide me on some stuff? And he was actually speaking to me in English first. So I was like, yo, I can speak Mandarin. What do you need? So I was kind of guiding him on the side, even when he was in Griffin back in 2022.
Hmm.
And when I got dropped, he immediately reached out to me and asked if I can go over to Hong Kong and help him out for the 2023 season back in Hong Kong, Taiwan. I think it was Challengers. So I was like, sure, because Secret dropped me quite late into the season. Like, they dropped me back
My
in
bad.
Piece of shit.
December, and all the teams were already locked in. So back then I had some offers too, but then Secret kind of kept me in the dark with how they handled the situation. Throughout the off season,
I needed time.
all
I
good,
just
all good.
needed time, bro. I was trying to figure this shit out, bro.
No
My
hard
bad,
feelings,
my bad,
okay?
though.
No,
I know,
hard
I know.
feelings,
My
okay?
bad, though. My bad, though.
It's all professional between us, okay?
I know,
So
I know.
the Secret
That's so
situation
hard, bro.
was pretty fucked to me
Fucked
because
up.
I was always kept in the dark, and they were telling me that they wanted to trial analysts. So in my idea was, oh, I'll have an analyst, good. Someone's gonna help me. Then when I watched the scrims, it's actually like they're trialing like head coach and stuff. They trialed like 3 different guys, and I was actually watching the scrims. I was like, what the fuck is going on with my team? Like they are losing all the scrims. There's this scrim they lost to Enter. Spring was in Enter. They lost like 13-0 on. Wait, was it more than 13-0? I forgot what was it. It was Haven. I'm like, bro, we were the best Haven team in Pacific, and how are you guys losing 13-0? So they were trialing a bunch of coaches that kind of messed up with how you prepare for all the off-season tournaments. So the funny part is, you know, the India tournament that Frost mentioned earlier, I wasn't coaching a team at that time. So I got thrown back into the head coach slot a day before going to India. So I was like, okay, guys, what's going on? You guys all the protocols are very messy and stuff. When we went into India, I think our first game was against RRQ. Bro, I did not recognize my team at all. Like, what is all this shit? Like, why are you guys running around the map so much? Like, this is not my stuff. Because they've been trying to absorb like what the other coaches that were trialing to play their way, and it didn't work. So I was like, okay, let's reset. Okay, go back to my way of playing the game. And eventually we went on a run during the India tournament. I think eventually we lost to Paper X in upper finals, and we finished third again. Yeah, I'm kind of tied to third. I don't for no reason.
Wow. Third curse for you, bro.
Yeah, it's either second or third. But yeah, but I just didn't like how they handled the situation, because to me, my problem with Secret was we always needed that KO or flash player. That's why I went for Invi. I kind of pushed for Invi. They wanted someone else. I'm like, no, just get me Invi. I only needed him because we were dropping wits at that time. We kind of had many role issues back in Secret. That's why you see me running like funky con, sometimes like running Yoru Breach on Icebox and stuff. But to me, it's all funsies. Like you wanna create new meta, find the best combo available. And the funny part was we always beat top teams with the Yoru Icebox. The Yoru Breach com on Icebox. It's only Bleed that we lost to. Yeah, this guy over here. They actually beat us with some stage com or whatever. Because Redla went crazy that match. I'm like, dude, we lost 11-13 and I got so much backlash from that match. I'm like, okay, fuck it. No more innovating comms. I'll stick to traditional stuff for you guys. You guys have to play the traditional way. Okay, whatever the meta is, Secret has to play it. So from there onwards, I think it kind of went downhill. Like, they started losing faith in my planning and stuff. So that's why Hector mentioned that they did not have confidence in me. But I think it's understandable because I wasn't too hands-on with dealing with their meta inside and outside the game. Like, I was very lenient back then. That's what I learned throughout my time in Secret, that I have to be more strict and be very stern with what I want in the team and not give too much leeway to them. Like, no, this is my team. You play it my way. Okay, we can discuss. We can come to an agreement to play it in a different way, but my decision is final. Okay, you guys don't get a say in this. So back then, what happened was Wash was actually doing a lot of the planning. So the team likes to talk to Wash more than me. And they comms in Tagalog, so it's very hard for me to understand what do they want. And sometimes things get lost in translation when they come back to me. So it's very hard for me to adjust. But I wouldn't say my time in Secret was that bad. We finished third and fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that team,
that's what I'm saying. My Spidey sense never went off. But another issue, man. I'm sorry, but to the point that you just made, because it's an important one. The thing I don't like about people, and this is not Vash, this is not any, just in general, if the team is coming to me, right? I then can't get mad at you for, bro, I'm doing everything. You can easily just go, hey, don't talk to me, talk to the coach. Bro, this happens everywhere. This is like I said, it's not a Jesse Vash thing. This happened. Yeah. The amount of times this happened, it's like, brother, if you don't want to do everything, then why do you always need to say in everything? Pick one. Just pick one. Either you're involved in everything and that requires a lot of work, or you want less responsibility and then you make it someone else's responsibility. Yeah. Players almost want both. They want the power to make the final decision without doing the work it takes to actually make the decision. I think that's like a very important. Yes. Listen, I have no smoke with Vash. I'm just saying this is not just a Vash thing. I've been in a lot of teams in Valorant. This happens every time with one person.
I think it's very common in SEA. Whatever you just mentioned, it happens on a lot of SEA orgs. Maybe except PaperX or Talent, but I've seen this happen with other orgs as well, especially in SEA. Players talking to people in the management directly instead of the IGL or the coach.
Also, I think it's because their age is so much bigger than me, right? When I joined Secret, I was like 25. They were like almost 29, 30s. So half the team is like older than me. Right. So it's hard for them to listen to someone younger too, like outside the game and stuff. I wish I could have like motivated and coach them in a more strict way. Definitely, that's one of my regret. Like, it's definitely too lenient. I gave them too much comfort. It went south. The stuff.
I mean, same, because But anyways, sorry. I just thought you hit on a very good point that I needed to hammer home, because that stuff is so common and people don't know how to deal with it. My way of dealing with it, like I know you said it doesn't happen at Talent. It does happen at Talent. Oh. But my very simple, like it's happening now with the Thai roster, right? Because they don't speak the language. Yeah. On Furia, I didn't have a problem because Carlau spoke Portuguese. So he can transfer or translate in real time. Me and Jovi don't have a translation in real time. We have to wait until after everything. Oh, trust me, it is an experience that I don't wish on my enemy.
Sucks.
Right? But I have enough experience that I'm dealing with it. But it gets to a point where you have people that like are not like Crew's workload went from like let's say a normal IGL at the top level last year to now he's head coach, player, IGL, babysitter. Like actually, right? Like I've told you this that I coach crews mainly, right? Like it's like a thing where like now you have like this weird separation between like the coaching staff and the players. And it's good because on one end, you're also preparing crews to be able to do like our jobs, Fade, because now he's getting real time, like and he has assistants on the back end. It's not like he's not, he's doing everything, but like you can see that it does weigh on someone when they have to like have a meeting with this player and talk to this player about this, and then all of a sudden they need to translate it to the coach, and it's like. So I understand, and I'm not in any way saying that Cruz was going through what Jesse went through, or what other people have gone through, because it never got that bad, like especially between us. It's more just that I see even in him that is a heavy load, but some other people take that and then go, yeah, fuck my coaches, bro. They're not doing shit. It's like, what do you mean? You're the one taking the calls. Just send them to me. Like it's like So you have this real like difference in how you handle it. Because where I'm from, like in North America, it's simple. If you want the ultimate like responsibility, like you're the first one to get fired. And in North America, everyone knows that. So the person with the power also is the first one to get axed, which isn't the way, or at least in my experience, it's not the way in Asia. There's a lot more scapegoating in Asia, I think, on a personal level, from my experience around here.
That's
There's
true.
a lot more scapegoating. But in NA, it's like, who's the top guy? We're not winning. Get the fuck out. Pa fuera. Like, and then it goes
down. Like football.
Yeah.
The manager gets the blame.
Right. Which on a personal level, I don't necessarily disagree with this logic. Where I've been critical of North America is that you have the coach, but then you have other people above him getting involved, making decisions that shouldn't be, that aren't in Valorant every day. But then those guys end up firing that guy, which I won't name names. I'm just saying. So this is like a thing that I think is weird in America, which I don't know if it exists in Asia as much. I have not experienced it, certainly at Talent. So I can't speak as if I have. But
that's also one thing that I've learned from my time in Secret. Like, I shouldn't get too close to my players. I should be close with the management. So back in Secret, I wasn't really close with the management except for the manager, Yam Yam. I didn't have enough talk to the GMs or the CISO. It was John, I think.
Yeah, John.
So now in Wolves, I actually talk to my GM and manager a lot and make sure they understand like what's going on. So we have like this weekly report. I make sure I send it to them and I compile all the data so they know the problem is not us. The problem is within some of the players, if anything. So we don't often become the scapegoat. Okay. There's always data to back it. So Ominous always like compile the stuff and we go through it and then we type up a summary on what we have to deal with and what we have dealt with this week and stuff. So there's always a progress update for them to understand what's going on within the team. So I think back in Secret, right? My problem was that, particularly what I just mentioned, and also the translation thing that you mentioned earlier about Cruz having to translate. I think Dubstep style off that season was because he had to do a lot of translation for me. So I kind of felt bad for that because during all the timeouts, they always have to like discuss and translate. Then I have to brief it to them. And sometimes my timeout, I felt it was ineffective because not all of them are fluent with English. I mean, Borkum, Dubstep, Dispenser, and Vash can speak, but Jeremy wasn't that good with English at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I called a strategy and they didn't execute properly, and we just wasted the timeout, and we gave the enemy team a free timeout to prep and win some rounds against us. I think we were very close to qualifying to Reykjavik or Copenhagen. I think it's a Copenhagen. We won map 1 and map 2 it was like map 2 it was Sent. I'm not sure what map was it. Basically, I remember we had 2 very bad timeouts and they kind of contributed to us narrowly missing out on qualifying. It was the last match. It was a upper final or lower final. We had to win that game to qualify to Copenhagen. Had we win that match, I think everything would be different, and I'll still be in secret. But losing that, I think they kind of lost confidence. More, it contributed to the fact where they lost confidence in me and didn't trust my stuff. That's why they went to look after other coaches. So I think that's one of the matches, the turning point.
Well, let's fast forward now. So you find out about SiuFat, you go and you help him. Then you land on NIP, and on NIP you discover Spring as well. But here's where things get interesting: is that SiuFat after NIP doesn't really get a team until he joins Wolves again. So, and by the way, he's the GOAT now. This guy has like he made it. Like he is like, I think they posted that he had like 80K people watching his stream or something when he came back after.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we were me and Frost were talking about it. We were like, nah, he's a superstar. Like, but the shit that he was doing on stage that we'll get into. But okay, so how was your time on NIP with SiuFat, and then finding out about Spring? Which, by the way, you have basically been there for both of their transitions as players from being like Jet, because like even SiuFat was a Jet player when you first met him. Then he goes to Initiator on NIP. And then you had Spring on Jet as well on NIP, who's now playing that Sentinel like Viper role, right? So
before you answer, did you move him to Flash because on Secret you needed a Flash player the whole time?
SiuFat plays whatever I need in the team.
Right.
Yeah. So he's the guy that is like fan, where he play everything that I need.
Nice.
He's always the final piece to my strategy. So it's very good to have him.
Sick.
My idea of having a team is to make sure the players I have can play as much roles as possible. So I always try to move them around.
Frost's been saying,
brother.
That's the way to play this game.
Of course.
In the future, bro, man. If ban pick ever comes out, if you have this kind of player, you're in advantage.
GG.
Imagine having a race main. Hello, Ching. Kidding.
Yeah.
He's doing well. He's branching out to other roles. I'm very happy for him. So one trick no longer works in Valorant.
Oh man.
Yeah. So back
I had
in
this
NIP,
issue with Jeremy, by the way. There was a period where I wanted to replace Jeremy because he just refused to play anything else.
Yeah.
Like I even offered up Secret to pick up Governor, by the way, way back in the day.
I remember.
And it had nothing. Yeah, it had nothing to do. It's not that I don't like Jeremy. It's just even back then I saw, guys, if you want to win, you need to be flexible. This whole thing of like playing like the old school, because I think, you know where I think it's twofold. The stubbornness to adapt is twofold. The first is the team that won the first major. Technically, First Strike was Riot's first major, but in reality, Reykjavik was Sentinels. Sentinels didn't comp change for almost 2 years on any map, right? So why do we have to change if they're, and if you look at Fnatic has often always kept the same comps, right? Loud the same. All the teams that are winning, they play meta comps, right? And then the second thing is, this is no disrespect to people. It's just I think players don't like the extra effort of working harder to learn more. I think playing is already stressful and hard enough. So to them, it's like, why do I need to play this? This character sucks. It's not Jet. It's not this. It's not that. This is the best. Look at these teams. And I think that is why it's lasted so long. I think.
So right now in my team, I always tell them, like, some scrims like Ominous knows that I just want to try certain comps and we don't get the data for it, just to try out the synergy between like different agents in different maps. Sometimes, like a mini tweak in some agents, like balancing all the balancing patch, like even Waylay right now, I think is in a really comfortable position that teams will start picking her more. So stuff like this is where you try to find out in scrims, not just keep running the same old comps. And what's the point of scrimming? So boring. I'm gonna fall asleep watching all these scrims.
Fair. I think, I mean, we don't need to beat the dead horse. You haven't said anything about that, Ominous, but like this is a core principle and philosophy that me and Fayde have had for a very long time.
I'm also in like a similar boat. Like even since even when we won Ascension with Blee, like ever since then, like I don't know, I always wanted to work in a team or have a team that could play multiple comps on a single map.
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
uh,
Yeah.
and for that you need to have players that are very flexible. And so previously, I used to scout for players for different orgs, different teams even before. And previously, there was always this demand for players, very role specific or agent specific players, you know. But over the last year or so, I've noticed a change that people or teams want players that play multiple role of agents, you know,
Hmm.
like whether it's sentinel plus duelist, or I don't know, controller plus duelist or something like that.
Yeah.
And even I think that's like the future of the game. And if you look at our team right now, we have three players that overlap and can play the duelist role.
Right.
We have three players that can overlap and play the smokes role.
Hmm.
I think we also have two players that can overlap and play the sentinel role. So having so many overlaps over different roles and agents, it gives us, we can basically run any comp you want right now on any map.
Oh man, I wish.
It's a dream.
I wish. Yeah. I mean, That's also part of like my. Yeah. I mean, anyways. Yeah. I think. Look, I said a long time ago. So I got memed on like on 100 Thieves. I got memed on for this conversation, by the way, because we were like at the time I was fighting and pushing, and finally towards the end they did it to have multiple comps on the same map, right? And it was an idea that was hated forever, and part of that is also part of the reason why I ended up not being on 100 Thieves much afterwards, because I think just the difference in mindset between like where the game is going and where it's gonna go and where it was just so far off between everyone there. But I will say that I've always treated since beta, when I used to just play ranked with Hiko. This game to me was basically Dota and Counter Strike in one game, and that's why I felt I had such an advantage even today. But back then, I felt like, bro, this shit's easy work, because most players they came from Fortnite, CS, like they didn't understand ults, like they didn't understand like ult tracking, ult economy, ability usage, like counters to counters, which ability should be saved to counter this one. You know, I'm using an ability to counter an ult. This is more effective. Don't waste your ability, even if you can get a kill. It's not worth it. Use it to kill an ultimate, because that's their win con. Like shit like this, bro, was like in beta. I was like, yo, this is it. This is what you do. Like I remember thinking when the game came out, when it was just released, right? Reyna was considered the best duelist. I remember fighting with people, particularly on the squad I was on at the time, that Raze is the best. I can show you the messages of people going, Raze's abilities are selfish. They're not for the team. They're not that good in comparison to Reyna, which for us today is so laughable in retrospect,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But the reason why I can see that early is because I'm a Dota player at heart. And because of that, it's like you kind of just understand, because you've seen, at the time, right? So back then when the game came out, I think Dota had like 81 heroes, right? Now it's like 127. So it's like even then, Fade, me and you had like the knowledge of 81 heroes, 81 ultimates, basically 81 abilities, items, timings, lane structures. Valorant's like the perfect blend of those games. I know Riot gets mad whenever you say League of Legends, but really it's not like Dota's more creative in the comps, the lane structures, the way to do things than League ever has
It's
been.
too complicated, Dota.
Yeah. So to me, like Valorant was perfect. And one of the biggest ways, by the way, I got the timeout rule changed, because I don't know if you guys know, back before First Strike, during First Strike, coaches got one timeout for both halves and overtime.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I got that changed was like me and a lawyer, like me and a lawyer and 100 Thieves basically wrote this whole paper, and I have it in my email. I showed it on SpikeTalk like a long time ago. You're gonna appreciate this. I literally had the equation like of the amount of permutations, and at that time with the amount of agents, it was like 2,570 different permutations at the start of the round. How the fuck do I have one timeout for 24 plus maybe more goddamn rounds in a game that has that many permutations to start the round? Where in CSGO, the amount of permutations are kind of fixed because everybody can buy same utility, like same amount of this, same amount of that. The only permutations come from the different lanes you can be in, or whether or not you buy like HE over extra like flash. Valorant like dwarfs that by like a multiple that's not even fair to compare it to. So it's like people, even in my opinion, there's no disrespect to Riot, it's just a fact. I think even the people that made the game didn't understand that nuance in comparison to the other games on the market and how much more difficult Valorant will end up being at a real tactical level. And I can say this also because I'm not like disparaging anybody, but Blade, one of the reasons Blade never even thought about coming to CS, he literally says it's too hard. The GOAT coach in CSGO literally tells me to my face, bro, Valorant's too hard. I will never go to Valorant.
There's too much variation in every round. It's too difficult to plan everything.
Yeah.
That's why you really need your players to adapt really well every round and make sure they are drilled for it and well prepared for it. So that's the thing. Like you want to scream like teams with different comps. Like sometimes if I knew I'm going to go up against a team that likes to play Deadlock, I'll book Talon the week before because they like to play Deadlock. So we get the reps in. It's like when I won. Who do you win when we won Genji in Toronto? I came to thank Frost. Say it was all because they played Deadlock on split against us. We had the experience dealing with Deadlock, and I think they didn't play the best Deadlock. Bro, Frost, Talon's Deadlock is way crazier than what they played. So it was like easy for us to deal with that Deadlock. Basically had close to no impact to me. So yeah, things like this matters. Like all these changes, tiny changes in game plan helps a lot. So let's go back to NIP. So when I first
sorry about the
that's
just what I do here, bro. I'm just random.
all good,
My
all good.
bad, bro.
We just want to talk.
My bad for firing you. My bad for derailing you. My bad, bro.
All good, like that, all good. Okay.
I know.
So about NIP is like NIP's manager was kind of like our manager back in JJH. So he reached out to me saying like, yo, NIP wants to build a team in China. They want to fight for a spot in the franchise, right? Because that year, the Ascension run and all the tournaments before that was to gain points enough for you to qualify for Ascension or get into the franchise with a direct invite. So nobody knows like if you get into the franchise yet, but you still have to participate and show Tencent like what you're capable of doing with the team and how much backing does your organization have for this team, like how much funds are you gonna dump in. So NIP came in with a budget. With that budget I bought out Spring and Aaron from Enter because I know Spring is a demon. I've been watching his game, but he's so underrated. Even back then in Enter he's like, yo, these guys are gem. His decision making and stuff, timing, perfect.
He's not underrated now.
And now the whole world knows him. This guy, his game IQ is crazy. He's too smart for this game, I think. He always tell the team like,
that's a
your
dream.
game understanding is here. My game understanding is here. He tells his teammates this over here. He's like, okay, fine. You're proving it in game. Good for you. Okay, that's why I think it's kind of good for him that
I fuck with that.
Yeah, he has this confidence and it kind of reflects how he performed in matches too. So nobody can say it's a thing. Like, what can you say? He's that smart. And for NIP, I think SiuFat actually didn't came immediately to NIP with me. I brought him in after a couple of months in NIP, I think, because he was actually resting because of his wrist injury. He was going for shockwave therapy and stuff, and I told him, yo, I can wait. But you have to get your injury treated first, because I think esports players, they take injuries too lightly. I think one in case is Padipan. He did not rest well. He kept playing and he kind of messed up with his career. I think it was very bad, and I do not want that to happen to SiuFat because he was only like 23 or 24 at that time.
Right.
So resting because you have an injury is very important. This is something I told Jing last week too. Like, you have a wrist injury now. You really have to take care of it and rest and do all the treatments that's required. Don't take it too lightly. Wrist injuries is very, very.
It could be career-ending.
Yes.
I could say this now, but Governor struggled last year. Like the whole off season and early in kickoff, this guy it was a mess. And then Cruz is dealing with it now, but we have more knowledge about this specifically. So now we're trying to help them. But yes, these things are so underdiagnosed. And
Even
Yes.
crazy guy struggled with it for I think 2 years now. I probably still has it on RRQ.
Jeez.
A lot of players has it, and me as well. That's why I'm a coach now. But if I don't have this wrist injury, I'm sure I'll be in IGL somewhere. But yeah, unfortunate for some of these players. That's why I wanted SiuFatBB to take that break. And when he felt okay, I brought him in, and we went for Ascension. I think we
how long
finished.
was that break?
Between JJH and NIP, he had a 3 months timeout to recover
All right,
from
that's
that.
fair.
Yeah, so he went to shockwave therapy and
I was expecting him to
stuff.
be like, yeah, like 3 weeks. I'm like, bitch, that's not a break.
Nah.
Anyways, my bad.
Yeah, so it was like a 3 months break. I brought him in a month before Ascension. Then we had to run. We had a very tight schedule back then too. So we finished third in Ascension, which is very unfortunate. I knew we could have done more with that roster. That roster was sufficient to win Ascension, but we kind of messed up towards the end because the players. I think we just lacked some really good preparation heading into some of the matchups. Because after all, China is a region that I wasn't that familiar with back then. Like the play style, I was just trying to adapt. So after that, I took a few months of break after NIP
Yeah,
to
you and
understand.
like SuiFat as well.
Oh,
SuiFat like waited
Su-
like 6 months before joining Wolves, and then you joined XLG like around the same time that he joined uh Wolves, right?
for SiuFat, the case was I actually like most of the players in Wolves right now. I helped them to come in here. I recommended this roster, like who
See.
to sign and stuff, because the coach back then in Wolves is like one of my friend. His name is Jungle.
Mhm.
Uh, he asked me like what players he should be getting because he came back from a year break back then. So I was like, these are the players that you can go for. Like my players here, they are very good. You should sign them. Like Spring, SiuFat, and actually Aaron too at that time. But then because they already signed some other players, so they only went for Spring. SiuFat was supposed to be on the roster until
Mm,
they signed Aluba to take over SiuFat's spot. So SiuFat was forced to take a break because back in Ascension, we finished Ascension around Christmas,
yeah.
and between Christmas and the season starting, there's like a three weeks time or something. So there's no time for you to find a team if you miss out on Ascension. If you don't get on a team, that's like the last ride.
Yeah.
That's the last ride of the day. Like if you miss it, you're not gonna get a team for kickoff. That's why SiuFat had to wait out. And I think during this break, he kind of helped him too. Like he went back to recovering further, like to his like follow ups, treatment and stuff. And when Wolf reached out to him again, he just joined because he wanted to join Wolf because Spring is here. He
Yeah.
always wanted he wants to play with Spring. They have a really good relationship outside the game too. So it's only natural for him to come here. And for me, uh, when I took a break, it's just to make sure I'm well rested and I watch the games from the side and understand how I want to do coaching better. So I was like doing some readings and stuff online, books, and when I came back, I just have a different way to build and lead a team. So XLG, XLG, they reached out to me. I didn't plan to join XLG at all, but they were like, "Yo, we need help for Ascension." It wasn't Ascension. It was like, "We need help to qualify for Ascension." I'm like, "Sure, I'm very free." So I talked to Hoya. So I was like, "Okay, you stay as the head coach. I do not want to be the head coach. Okay,
Uh,
but I'll help you and teach you how to do things around around here." So I kind of helped him from the side at first. I didn't want to join them. I just wanted to help remotely online. But after winning the first tournament, they were like, "Yo, can you just join us for Ascension?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll join you for Ascension." So I flew to Shanghai. I just worked here with them for like close to 2 months. Then we ran onto the Ascension run. After the Ascension run, they were like, "Yo, can you join us for franchise next year?" I'm like, no, because I had an agreement with Move to join them before Ascension even started. Like they actually reached out to me even back in before Split 2 happens, but they didn't sign me because they didn't want to risk like they don't want me to be the scapegoat basically. Like
Yeah.
ah,
because they were so bad in Split 1, I think. They ended up like 2-5 or something. And last year's formatting was very brutal. Like if you had the bad Split
Yeah.
1, basically you're gonna be
still
fucked for
is.
Split 2. right?
Still,
Bleed.
it's still
Bleed
pretty
had a
tough.
very bad start too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
that
well,
format,
we're gonna
that
talk
format
about
was
bleed
bad.
after this
Yeah.
for sure.
That format was so bad. So the manager just basically said, just wait out until the end of season, then we will bring you on board. Because if I bring you in now,
Smart move by them.
yeah, you're gonna get blamed for losing and stuff. I'm like, oh, fair enough. Then I'll just wait out. Yeah, the manager is really really nice. So after that, I just joined Wolves and I went on to sign. We actually tried so many players. When I came in, I just knew I needed I didn't need a flash this time, but I needed a really good Sentinel players. Okay, because I knew the flash player can be Yuikao. This guy can.
Yeah.
This guy is actually quite good with this flash role.
Well, I know him as Chambers, so that's news to me.
Yeah,
That's
he
the
was
thing.
he
He
was
can.
on FPX in
Yeah.
Chamber in 2022. He used to destroy everyone in scrims.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we ran him on Chamber some map like on Pro.
Yeah.
But I know going into Toronto, he's not gonna get much Chamber time because teams don't play. One is they don't play Pro as
Pearl.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Which is why I thought Heretics was, anyways.
Yeah,
Insane
that was
veto, by the way. I was cooking. Anyways, continue. My bad.
yeah, I think our veto in Toronto went really well. Some of them, I think they overthink too much. during
And
the
I don't
veto.
think people actually studied you guys at all. I'm gonna be honest, because those vetoes were met, bro. Anyways, trust
came
me.
out-
Me and Baby Bay on the watch parties were like, bro, do these guys? Anyways,
I came out of the veto laughing.
yeah,
So we felt like what's going on?
yeah.
We're getting all the maps that we want. What is this? A welcome gift to the global event? Okay, well, I'll take it. Let's
Yep.
take the 2-0
And they
then.
got cooked for that shit. Exactly.
Yeah. So for Wolves, the idea of building this roster back then was to find a Sentinel player. I actually wanted Yosemite. He
remember.
chose FPX over us.
You did,
Bro,
and then you guys got Liso, or
yeah, I saw.
yeah,
So
He also
actually,
wanted Flexen, I think.
yeah.
before Juicy, it was Flexen.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about Juicy because I've been high on that guy forever. So, like,
Juicy is very, very good.
yeah, so talented. Yeah,
I didn't. Juicy wasn't in the picture back then because he's still underage, and he just finished his competition with DSG back then, Ascension. Then when one day when I woke up, I was just like still trying to figure out who's my fifth, and I saw him posting a tweet, I'm now 18, blah blah blah, something like that. I can now compete in MCC. I'm like, yo, you wanna come here? So within a day, I managed to sign him.
yeah.
It didn't take that long to discuss. He's like, yes, I want to play. I'm like, okay, come over here, okay? So 3 days later, he flew down to Shanghai and we signed all the papers. Before that, we wanted Flexin because I wanted to find a player where he can play controller so I can take the duty off Spring. I actually wanted to build Spring as a controller player in the start, but if I can get a controller player in, Spring will be fine on Duelist. He was tearing it during the off season. He destroyed everyone, but back then I think one was overtuned as well. But this guy, his aim is just comfortable. He's so precise. It's very easy to play him Duelist, but
I'm glad you
doesn't
changed
want
your
him-
mind though, because I keep telling people, like, now that I have realized this, I used to think like duelists and sentinels were the best position for your aimers, but because of Kayron, I don't know how to fucking pronounce it. I was getting cooked my whole watch party. Do any of you
good.
know?
Kayron.
Which one is it? Kayron?
Karan, yeah.
Kayron? Okay, so now I won't fuck it up because everybody's different. Anyways, ever since Kayron, I now think your most mechanical player on controller might be the answer to the way the game is moving now. So I'm glad, like we're just talking, I'm glad you decided not to change Spring because we see how much he can impact the game, both on the position and like just with his natural ability on the agents that obscure vision. Because you give them too good of a fight if you come out the smoke or they can, hide around the corners. Like Karan is just unbelievable at this. Yeah, I'm still fucking it up. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I saw you laugh, Abed. It's my bad, bro.
Oh, all good. I think good aimers being on controller is crucial because the idea came from seeing how Smoggy played back in Bangkok. I was like, this guy used to be a duelist, but being on a controller, you can have so much time to position yourself and get into position without requiring too much utilities. I'm like, Spring has the game knowledge for this. It's only natural to put him more towards Swiper and Moment. So he doesn't ask for so much util, and I can pour all my util towards the other players, like Juicy in particular right now. Also, I think it's because the meta change. Back then, it was like, what, double ini plus a duelist.
Mhm.
Now you no longer run that because everyone just run double smoke, and it's only natural if you fight against a double controller comp, your double ini is just gonna get lesser value out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I also think that having the best mechanical player on controller is also because on defense side, if you see, for example, it's always the controller player that's usually anchoring sides, like Lotus C side,
Right,
SM
right,
A
right.
side. So if you have your best mechanical player on that role who's anchoring sides, naturally he's going to get the most value out of it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
another thing.
most of the time in A for me, it has been the opposite. You want the IGL or the guy that does the dirty work for other people to play that role. So it's interesting coming here. Like I guess Bang would be like the one exception, but Bang to me
Extremely
was an
mechanical.
exception.
Well, also
the
Tyson
rule.
though, like Sentinels was kind of ahead of the curve on that one, putting Tyson on Omen all of last year.
Yeah, that is certainly true. But I've never looked at
It
like
was arguably
but
his best year.
No, no, no. Oh, no. Facts. But like, I don't mean to be demeaning. It's more just talking about the game. But Tyson's a very selfish controller. He didn't play team. Like, if you think of like most of his spots, like Sunset on the like, he was for himself.
Impressive.
Yeah. And an example of this is look at how many times Boaster died this tournament for free in Smoke World. Tyson never died in Smoke World.
Yeah.
Tyson, I'm sure, had the veto power to be like, no smokes. Whereas an IGL, Cruz, for instance, will never do that. It's so against his fucking nature. And Boaster was getting memed on, like I don't mean to like derail this, but this is like a important thing. He got memed so much for his performance, but people don't realize like to get killed that much in Smoke World meant what? He's supervising everyone else. Yeah. He's not just doing random dumb shit. It's just a bad time to do it. Are you going to argue that there should be a veto call where he cancels out of it?
He was also sick in that final, by the way. Like,
No. I know. But I'm just saying, like, I just get tired of the narratives when people don't realize if a guy's in Smoke World, he's one of the best players in the world. He's not doing it for that. It's just people don't understand, I think, the framework. But, like, Tyson, to me, never played the type of controller that I think I just described.
There's two type of foemen. One, those that are very passive, and one is like right now we have like Jing and stuff playing the very aggressive foeman on Icebox. Those are just like pseudo duelists to me. Like they have the right to take fights.
Oh,
Some
even when Forsaken
players,
played it, you remember when Forsaken?
I think the basic idea of controller is you're not allowed to take fights. You're not allowed to take risky fights to die. Yeah, like but these players, because of how aggressive they play, they tend to catch you off guard. Yeah. Means it has its own perks, I guess. If you run a double controller comp, especially, like you have the leeway to like just die, and then we still have another like controller to compensate that. But back then, it was just tougher. Like what Tens did was, I wouldn't say it's like a meta changing way. Just
but it kind of was. It was it was defining because like how he did it gave you a new way to play it.
Yeah,
if that
people
makes
like,
sense.
oh, you can play so aggressively. Okay, let's try that, and it kind of helped impact the team. I think it brought very positive impact with the how you play like aggressive TPs and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
Absolutely. Well, Ominous, let's talk a little bit about Bleed because you were through that whole run making it, and then the downfall of Bleed as well. That was crazy. So.
Let's talk about making it first.
Yeah, let's talk about making
the
it
exhilaration of making it.
So, I think I'll start pre-franchise, a year before pre-franchise, and I think it was Champs Istanbul. I think we finished third. I think Boom was the one who made it, and we couldn't qualify. And after that, I'm pretty sure all of us wanted to go our own ways. I had an offer from franchise. I think a couple of other players also had a few franchise, at least tryouts or offers or something. But I remember Legia then said he has some unfinished business in Asia and he would like to stay. And I don't know, that kind of motivated me and like a couple of other players that I don't know, we should have like one last dance, I guess. And then back then the org also kind of supported us. So I got Crazy Guy because I was looking for a new IGL. And then I don't know how the org pulled it off, but they managed to sign Scary. And then
I could tell you how because
I'll tell you how.
Yeah, we offered them, but they gave them a lot.
Yeah.
Holy
and
5 times more, baby.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And
Oh,
I think
scary.
the last player we signed was Retla, and then actually we switched over after Split One to Neff, and then that was like the original. I don't know. I would say the best bleed roster ever for me. It was Juicy, Darion, Crazy Guy, Scary, and Neff.
Hmm.
And honestly, when we went, I was pretty sure with this roster we would win MYSG, like not a chance. And when we went into Ascension, my only worry back then was I think the Korean team Damwon. I think they were the only team that beat us
Yeah.
in Ascension that year. And yeah, and other than that, you can ask Nico as well. Like the only way we would probably lose was if we played bad or let the nerves get better of ourselves.
I just
And
had an insane comeback on Pro against Boom.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
eight
oh,
eight
I hated your pro
nine
comp.
three
The fucking
9-3.
Reina
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Oh,
Just hate
yeah.
everything, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I hated
It
that
it
comp so much,
it
but it
went. I
worked. I
think
don't know. You guys are
yeah.
shitting on everybody,
I
so
think we had a I don't know 16-0 or 18-0
Team Reina,
something.
holy shit.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was so. To me,
yeah,
I fucking hated the but
yeah.
or not the
But
roster. Sorry,
I think it worked for
the
them
comp.
because
Yeah.
Scary is not the most selfless player.
Hmm.
Yeah,
He plays very safe, and
yeah,
also he just outright bait his team
Yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
yeah.
he plays Brimstone and Viper so frequently. So this guy always has like post farm mollies. I think the idea what Sushan told me was his idea is get the plant down, tell his team to stop for 20
Oh
seconds, and
yeah,
he tell the
yeah,
team,
yeah,
I'll win the round for you guys. So
yeah,
he just
bro.
at the back, looking out
On
in the sky, throwing his
Hmm.
lineups, and it was like, okay, this guy.
I remember when he first joined on Icebox, he would just tell the team, get the plan down and just buy me 8 seconds, and I'll make sure you win the round 100%. And we always won the round. We always won the round. And
This post farm win rate is crazy.
yeah. And yeah, so I don't know. We won Ascension after that, and then the whole stuff happened where we had two players that were not eligible to play in franchise. One was Juicy due to the age stuff, and the other one was Neff
Yeah.
for the military stuff. And then we had to rebuild with Jake and Egoist. Then and I mean, I'll go back. I think 2024 bleed. I know people will say, I know there's people, there'll always be people on the internet comparing Tyler and Jake and blah, 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 and whatever. But I think what hurt us the most was, I think, Neff. I think he was the most pivotal player on that team. He used to second call and he could play so many agents, that, I
Yeah.
mean, you can see that on Bilibili right now. And yeah, and I don't know. Ever since then, ever since we moved to Korea, things just spiraled out of control. Like even from management's side. Oh, I want to touch up on something. I don't know, Frost. You said about like management, players talking to management. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna name names, but we had certain people from the management at Bleed. I think around midway through Split One, they tried to book scrims for us. They had our prac login and they tried to book scrims for us and telling us what teams to scrim and what teams to not scrim. And it
That's
was
new.
yeah, it was weird on like so many levels and things just kept getting weirder and weirder and stuff finally exploded on October 4th, 2024. And
Yeah.
yeah, ever since oh, there was also this one point I remember. I think it was during split two or after split two, we were looking for a assistant coach, and
Hmm.
I remember I don't know, they were recommending people from NA, and I said,
Ocean.
yeah, I said why not Fayde, like I even told Nico, and then I remember me and Fayde, we had some a bit of conversation around split two or something about joining, but yeah, I mean I'm glad that never happened and he never joined Bleed anyway.
Yeah. It's so you guys. So like even our game. So I'm still kind of positive of the Yay roster. Obviously, minus I think the interpersonal problems that you guys are going through that I don't know much
three of the
about. But
players are currently on teams that are looking good, dude.
right.
Like you
Be-
have Ye who's looking great on EG. You now have what scary
well,
crazy
scary
guy.
would have been scary.
Scary was good.
Yeah, it's
Scary was
sad
good.
because scary should have been on talent. It's just
Yeah.
there's just it's just weird. And
But you
it's
have
nothing
crazy
personal.
guy
It just
who's
came the money,
playing,
and then
and then you have Darion. I don't know how to. Is it Darion?
Yeah,
Darion
yeah,
is like
he's on
subbing
Darion's on
global.
global.
GE.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had a good roster. Sometimes the rosters just
yeah,
don't work, dude.
yeah,
Well, the thing is, our series was close. That could have
yeah,
went the other way. I would argue I don't think we played well at all. I think we got lucky to get out with a win. I even said it even on SpikeTalk that the week after, right?
Yeah, I remember.
They almost beat. Was it Gen G? You were up and you threw
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
on, right? So like, if you
It was both the last two games, Gen G and T1.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you think about it, if those wins go the other way, they're contending for a champ spot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, so it's like it's just everyone has this like revisionist history like about like oh that roster was like so shit. It's like well they lost close games to teams that basically went to champs except for
it's also
T1,
it's
obviously.
it's also about mental. I feel at one point when you lose like I don't know 6 7 games in a row, people just want the season to end.
Fair. I mean, Global went through it too. Global also had close games last year. And it's like, I don't think people realize how close Pacific was last season or last year.
Yeah, it's still close this year. I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the strongest region.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're the strongest region for sure. But I think last year the teams were closer in skill. I think this year you still have a top. You still probably have 6 teams, but I mean, like the bottom teams in our shit. I mean, the bottom teams in this league will beat the fuck out of the bottom teams in any other league. But there's a huge gap between like top 4 and bot 4 in this league. It's like a pretty big gap. Last year, I don't think there was that big a gap.
Except BFM.
Fair. HSK went to Gen G though and showed that he wasn't. It's just sometimes that shit happens. The more I learn about the way the Japanese teams are, the more I understand why they're struggling so much. I think there's just a lack of
scouting,
self-awareness. That's from the more I learn and the more I talk to Carlisle about this, the more I realize there's a heavy lack of self-awareness. It reminds me, honestly, of Brazil, where like it's never your fault. This wasn't a mistake. There's a million reasons as to why. Even if you die in a spot, 7 out of 10 times, nah, bro, I could get the next one. It's like, listen, I love confidence, but there's a moment where you need to like just play the math out, and like. So I'm beginning to think that I think what's happening in Japan is self-inflicted wounds. Because if you look at Korea, it's like the exact opposite. And I know this shit with the scrim stuff and all this other bullshit also could play a fact. But I'm just saying, like in general,
I don't know. For me, the best teams in the Japanese region, they're not even in franchise. I feel like Riddle and Fennel, they're like miles ahead of DFM and Zeta.
Yeah, I used to think
Riddle is
Sengoku,
insane.
bro. The amount of shit I stole from Sengoku Gaming last year on Sunset was insane, bro. Like God, what the fuck are their coaches, man? They were so cool too. I forget their fucking names though.
By the way, just to piggyback off of that point, I mean, it was the same.
I'll always hit them up.
For the first year of partnerships, it was the same thing in NA. There was better teams that made it challengers. That year, that was the same as the first VCT year.
Yeah.
I mean, you had orgs making it in that were ranked like fucking the 12th on VLR.
Yeah.
Like, bro, this shit made no sense.
No, it's
and they kept their cores. They kept their cores, which is the craziest thing. I was like, okay, cool.
It was fucking tough.
Dope, dude. Dope.
I think the first season, M80 was like legitimately just as good, if not.
Well, look at Guard, bro. Guard was better than almost every single.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. They were for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's irrelevant.
Yeah. So I just feel bad that Bleed gets like memed on as a team when like in reality it's like they were actually just a few bad rounds away from competing for a spot of champs. Going to playoffs and competing for a spot of champs.
Momentum is such a huge thing, especially with the way that scheduling was for that shit was rough. Like if you guys would have won your first match even, like fuck those,
I remember there was this one point when we lost like I don't know 5 games in a row, and we would go to the arena and then we would go back home, and on the ride home nobody would say a word. It would be very quiet. And I remember there was this one point after we lost like the 5th or 6th match. I remember Legia just halfway to the ride, he just yelled, "God, please give me a happy ride back home."
That's crazy. Tell me the craziest Bleed story nobody knows without like getting in trouble. I don't care about it being like spicy. More like, what is the craziest story that you have that you can share about any single thing that happened at Bleed?
I don't know if you guys remember the Yay announcement video. There was a Lambo in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the owner's Lambo. And he once he once took us to his so there's this very I don't know, very expensive neighborhood or business district in Singapore. It's called MBS, Marina Bay Sands. And he took us to his garage once, and there was like a bunch of cars there. Like I don't know, there was a Lambo, a Porsche, a Maserati, a Rolls Royce, and a bunch of other cars. And he gave us this van, like this welfare van that we could use as a transport, just go around Singapore whenever we needed. And yeah, and when he was showing us the cars, he said, each and every car you see here is mine.
Oh,
And there was like 7 or 8 of them.
That's insane. Yeah, it's
must be
that.
nice.
I have so many questions. I'm not gonna do it here, but I just have so many questions about that guy and like what happened and what did Riot know? Because why was Bleed not admitted to the thing in the first place? Like, and, and then obviously how it all ended and where he is now. All this shit, man. That to me is like low key, like one of the most interesting stories that I don't know, that I don't have information about in CS. Sorry, not in CS, but in esports.
Being a big Blip player that year must be very stressful because Prashant did mention that some nights when they were sleeping, like that, either the owner, the house owner, will
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
come and
yeah.
knock on your
So,
door and
so,
collect rents.
so, towards the end, like after we won Ascension, and when we were like, and it was just before moving to Korea, and we had Jake over in Singapore for a bit, to
Mm-hmm.
scrim, and then we used to fly over. It was around, I think, November or something, and we had the owner of the whole mansion. He would randomly come over, I don't know, a few times, knock at the door during the afternoon or even late at night, asking for rent. And why hasn't the rent being paid? And bro, there was this one point. So we had two infinity swimming pools in that mansion, and I don't know. The owner failed to pay the guy who's to clean the pool,
Oh my
and
god, sounds like a fucking
he
nightmare.
yeah, he stopped cleaning the pool at one point.
Dude, this shit
So
sounds like a
so
fucking
wait, so
nightmare,
he
dude.
rented that place for you guys.
Yeah, it was on leash, bro. It was in Sentosa. It's like, I don't know. It's
Okay.
like the
So
most prime real
right,
estate in the
right,
world.
right, 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 right. So and the owner went to you guys asking for rent.
Yeah, because the real guy, he went missing.
Yeah.
And
Right.
bro, at one point he said, why don't you just sell all these PCs over here? Because he saw all our boot camp, and he said that'll cover my rent, easily.
Yeah. I do have one question, which you can, if you don't want to answer, it's fine. Financially, when did you guys realize there was a problem? Like, what happened when that happened? When you guys realized, wait a minute,
We
because
ain't
I'm
getting
sure up to
fucking
a certain
paid.
point it was legit, right?
Yeah, so I'll still tell you, after the whole shit happened, he actually did end up paying certain people, majority of people. He did pay us back, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know about others, but on the Valo and CS side, he did end up paying, I think, to everyone, at least to me again. But that was after the whole controversy happened
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
dragged
Yeah.
out. But I'll tell you, I think after Ascension, around November or December, the salary started getting delayed. Like initially it was 1 month, then 2 months. It kept on getting, like, it would get delayed by a month or 2 months. But I think it was around split one in Korea. I think it was May, or yeah, around April or May. It stopped coming. Yeah, it stopped coming. And yeah, there was basically players were playing without salaries. I remember there was this one point after the DFM game, when we won the DFM game. Scary basically said that unless we don't get paid, we don't scrim, we don't prac. We want to boycott the whole thing. And then
Yeah.
I don't know if he ended up paying or not. I don't remember,
That's
because at least
crazy.
I didn't
Oh,
get paid.
I mean,
That is crazy.
okay. I know this might sound harsh, and if it does, just edit this out. But this is my problem. This is my problem with players in general, and I don't know Scary. For all I have heard from my guys, he's a nice guy. But this is something that I see so much more in Asia than I do anywhere else. Why is it that Asians have a propensity to cut their nose to spite their face? Not scrimming is only hurting your career because if you lead, like if you suck now, you may not come back and play.
Yeah.
But if you boycott because you're not getting paid the salary now and you suck, you're not probably going to get another job anyway. This mindset of money over everything is so it's I don't remember it ever maybe I'm being unfair because now that I'm thinking about it, there are instances of people I can think about that are very similar to this, but it feels like I experienced this so much more in Asia than I do any time I've been in North America. And I've been around, like a small example I'll give you, Hiko. Hiko, especially early on in the game, was making more money than most players still make now, right? That guy literally, you would never know that he made money. Showed up on time. Bro, he would stream from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., shower, be in practice by 2 p.m., end the day at 10 p.m. Never missed practice, never complained, none of it. Performance never dipped, none of it. None of it. Good, emotionally good, bad. His girlfriend left him or some bullshit happened. Same guy every day. Like, it's here where I see that happen so much. And it's interesting for me to hear this because I'm around Thai players now and I feel like, because I understand, like, I can see and feel the same reactions today coming from most of the people I'm with now. And I still can't reconcile with that difference in Asia because I'm so unlike that. It's hard for me to understand why that is even a thought process.
I think it stems from them being very inexperienced in the real world.
Mhm.
Like all these players, they are so young. They don't
Yeah,
know
I
how to
was
deal
gonna
with
say.
like all these matters properly, and they've been gaming their whole life. What do they know?
It's just crazy because
It's almost like the sports thing that we were talking about. I think
Yeah,
there's like a
but-
level of professionalism and maturity that you
Yeah.
get from sports.
but
The
then when you
longer
have
you
this
stay,
conversation,
the longer you stay in the game, you understand stuff better. I'm pretty sure even Hiko back then, I mean, even like 2020
he
or
was in
start of
CS,
Valorant,
yeah.
he was like 30 or 31. I mean,
Yeah, for
he
sure.
had he
said
had
he was
seen
fucking
stuff.
unk.
No. True. I do
Yeah.
think age factors into
Yeah.
it. It's just so interesting for me to hear because the moment you said that, I was like, yeah, man. Of course, it would be scary to say that, and it has nothing to do with scary. I don't know him that well, but it's more like the culture that he grew up in. I understand now, obviously, a Talon, and I just don't understand this thinking because I'm like so polar opposite, and I'm sure that probably wouldn't have been easy to be like, hey man, like that's not the right thing to do or say. That's like, no, fuck that. We're gonna do this, and then he'll get mad at you for like, and it's just like, and that's just a world that I just still don't understand because it's like, and it's not a rich poor thing. Like it's not like, oh, America, because I'm Latin American. I didn't come from money. As a matter of fact, like both my parents weren't Americans when they came to America. Like, I'm the first generation in my family. And I grew up in the projects in New York City. Like I grew up literally in what would be considered the slums anywhere else, right? So it's not like I'm like coming from this financial background where I'm like, you don't need money to compete. Like it's more like just as a competitor and as like a professional and just like the thing, it's just so interesting for me to hear that happen. And again, not meaning to demean, scary. It has nothing to do with personality. It's just me understanding why like I have such a hard time fitting into Asian culture, or why like so many Asians have a hard time with someone like me. It's because like just the way my brain works and the way I would react to situations is so different in comparison that sometimes I don't even understand or can't reconcile why you don't see it the way that I do if we both love this game or compete at a high level as much as each other, right? Like why is it when we see this problem, it's like,
I think it's like Asian. The upbringing is like, when you put in the work, you should be rewarded. So if you don't get rewarded, they no longer want to put in the work.
I mean, I respect that.
I think it's valid though. Like
I do, yeah, for sure. I certainly respect it. I just think
if I never got paid, like I've never been in that position, well, like, fuck, that would fucking suck, dude. And I'm losing on top of it. I'd be like, fuck this shit, man. But not really. I think I actually would be the type of person that would like think like that. Like, fuck, if I want to have a career, like, doesn't matter if I'm getting paid or not. Like, I need to fucking go crazy and like try to do it. Cause like this shit. Well, like that's just with experience.
Yeah,
like, I've
I
seen
think
so many
also-
players come and go though.
Yeah.
Maybe me when I was like 16, I probably wouldn't. Well, or like maybe like 18, first year of Overwatch League. Maybe I wouldn't have given a fuck. Maybe I would have been like, no, I'm the best. I'll get picked up no matter what. Like I don't know.
It's also because these players, they have like, I think it's the lifestyle they're spending is so high that they can't keep up some of them live paycheck to paycheck, so they are very desperate and do all these
Financial
measures.
literacy.
Yeah. So
That's valid, by the way. There
That
needs to be
does-
more.
that
There needs to
is
be more
valid.
people in esports that like
Yeah,
paycheck to
guide
paycheck
these
is really not.
players. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
for sure.
Dude, I remember when I was like 16, 17, traveling to China for Crossfire, like
You play
seeing like
Crossfire?
yeah.
Big
So,
time.
like,
It's still
so,
huge
like,
here.
I know. It's,
Oh,
it's,
yeah,
it's
it's the
gonna
biggest
be at
game,
EWC. I didn't even know.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
because it's
But,
a $1 billion game. Well, I mean, there's a lot of
insane.
$1 billion games.
But
now,
I remember like
back
going to
then,
like
it wasn't.
the Korean malls because like
Mhm.
we had like some tournament in Korea or I think I was on a show in Korea or something one time, and like I was with this guy named Emzen who was just like fucking rich as shit, bro. Like he was just like one of the richest fucking Crossfire players at the time, and this guy's just dropping like 50K like it was nothing, bro. Back then, bro, like 10 years ago, dude. Like
Yeah.
50K. And I'm sitting here, bro. I was getting paid maybe like fuck. We didn't even get salaried, bro.
Same. My
I-
first contract, no salary for a year.
Dude, I got paid like how we
hit
did at
sets.
Crossfire Stars, bro. Like it was like $1,000 a player, dude. Like if we like bombed out, it was like $1,000 a player. Dude,
My first
this guy was
contract
spending 50K in a ball. He was like taking me to the mall, like, yo, what should I
Yeah.
wear? I'm sitting here giving this guy outfits, bro. I don't even have a fucking salary. Like,
yeah, my first contract in CS, I was getting paid in Red Bulls, keyboards, mice,
dude, but
headsets.
I was so
Bro, I had to
grateful.
sell those
Life in
shit, man.
esports.
Yo, real shit. I was so grateful when I got like a new like keyboard or a new mouse back then, dude.
Yeah,
like it was
same.
actually the best feeling in the world. I'm not even gonna lie.
Same.
I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit! Like I got new tech. I
I
got
think-
a fucking Steel Series Sensei. Oh my god.
It's so easy to like pocket watch too, because even amongst teams, I've experienced that a lot, where you think you deserve more than your other guy because you do more, and like it creates this like friction internally. Because what you're talking about,
Dude,
Andre, is the
that happened.
disparity between the top guys
Yeah.
and the most guys.
Sometimes we're right because this happened to me in Overwatch League where I had a player on the bench that was making like 3 times my salary on Atlanta Reign, and I was a
Bro.
starter
Yeah.
and like playing fucking really well, like playing really well as
Oh,
a starter
yeah.
as well. And I'm like, how the fuck's this guy on the bench getting paid 3 times more as me? Like,
Bro.
give me that money, cut this guy.
Bro,
Like,
that's a thing. And
but it was like
it's-
pissing me
yeah.
off, and like I still push through because like I'm not ever gonna let that shit get in the way of like because like kind of like what you said about the scary situation. Like I'm the type that like fights harder because I know like I need to like keep
Yeah.
going. I can't just give up.
But I also
because this
think
guy's
like
making more than-
your
but it was
background,
annoying
like,
as shit.
most people don't know culturally what your background is or where your parents are from.
Mm.
And I think if they did, they'd understand like, you know, like certain backgrounds are I'm trying to think of the word without offending anyone, but like, you know, if I think about Latin Americans and I think of most Middle Eastern countries outside of the oil rich ones,
Mm.
right? So Lebanon being one of them. Most people there have like a really heavy fuck you mentality when it comes to work. It's like immigrant, mainly the immigrant countries that always go to like America for the American dream, all that shit. There's this thing where like if you're getting less, you work harder out of anger, out of spite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like you grow up in that. You don't have it because you don't deserve it, and you just get more. I mean, this is also why like, you know, people medicate themselves with alcohol in a lot of these places. And like, I mean, I'm not trying to get into socio-political ramifications of like this stuff, but this is kind of an attitude I've noticed that like a lot of immigrants have this thing about them, because like, or then you can go the other way, right? Where like, you know, if you're not getting the results you want, you just quit or you don't, you know. But I've dealt with that a lot in teams, bro, where like the salary disparity creates like massive problems. So it's like, I'd argue that work disparity, like the people who are doing the most and getting the least amount of love and credit, is like the number one issue I think I've dealt with in all my esports and all the games, Rocket League, Crossfire,
Yeah.
like CSGO, all that. And then the number 2 is the money disparity. It's like not even about the games. It's all the like socio-political stuff that becomes
That's-
like the biggest thing to deal with as a coach or
I was gonna say
GM.
that's why you need a really like professional and mature coach, like like supporting staff to like kind of like ease that for the players.
Oh, for
So
sure.
they-
For sure. I think it's also why like I've had a lot of problems with players because in CS:GO, the game skews older. Like for instance, Markelov and Blade are older than me. Back to the thing you talked about, Fade, where like you and Jesse, I was younger than both of them. I was like the middle one on flip side, and Simple was like the youngest, right? Fast forward in Valorant, I'm like the oldest always. And I've had the same situations that you've had where like you can't really relate to the lives of your players a lot because the background's different, the culture is different, the understanding both in and out of both the competitive space or the life space is so different that like you have to sort of like figure out a way to like mesh both worlds, and you have to do it also like in a way that like people are receptive to what you're saying, because a lot of times, especially in Valorant, I've dealt with this in Valorant, believe it or not, even more than Rocket League. And Rocket League, in my opinion, skews younger than Valorant. So I don't know why young Rocket League players are more attentive for counsel than Valorant. But I will say that Valorant is a game for me that people don't listen to what you say, they listen to how you say it. That matters more than the message. But you know what's so weird for me? I grew up in Eastern European CS and fucking Europe West Dota 2. Those
Shout
boys
at
don't,
each other.
bro, Danes don't give a fuck about your feelings. That's the first. And Ukrainians give even less fucks
Just
about
want to
how
get
you
that point
feel.
across.
Yeah. So it's so interesting that I come to Valorant years later and all of a sudden it's like, I don't like the way you talk to me, bro. It's like, hello? Like, what the fuck is this? You it'd be like, excuse me. I, for one, do not like that you just did this. I don't think this is a good play, and here's why. Like, you have to, you have to like do all of the theatrics.
Sunshine and rainbows, man.
It's just like, wait, bro, hold up, bro. What the fuck is this, bro? Tell me, because this is crazy. You're trolling my game.
Yeah,
you can't say that without people getting offended.
It happened in my team too, but it's more like, I think this group of players, they are very, very young. They grew up in a very protected environment. So if you're too harsh against them, they take it very heavily and they can't perform well. So you have to have a really good balance right now against this new group, like new generation of players. But I still tell my players, like, I'll be very strict at times, but unless you mess up a few times, otherwise you don't usually get yelled at. I don't really yell at my player or whatever. Only SiuFat gets the treatment because I know this guy can take it. The rest, nah. I mean, Juicy can take it too. Juicy, Lyso, and SiuFat, they can. But the other two, they are like more soft on the other side. So it's like I have to treat them very differently. Also, I'll still be strict with them, but yeah, the treatment is slightly different. Because I know if I yell at them, their mentor is gone and they're not gonna be able to play it.
Yeah, I think I had to learn that with Jit because I treated Jit like I did everyone else, and I realized you can't actually. He doesn't deal with that the same way. So Jit for sure has been my biggest adjustment of talent in terms of like my personality. I think the one person, for good reason, but I also think I deserve what I get too. I'll be completely honest with that. Is like Premi. I am fucking hard on Premi, bro. I am, but the thing is, it's because I think he's, he's about that. Like he got it. So it's like you have to, but like for the most part, Jit is the one I had to really learn to be like, yo, heck, like, you got to chill sometimes on some of this shit. Like, but I don't like yell. Like I'm not a yeller, believe it or not. I know it looks like I am. I don't yell. Like I'm not what the fuck you like. No, that shit ain't me, bro. I'm like kind of funny in the sense where I would just do like I said now, like, bro, what the fuck you doing here? You're just trolling my games, bro. Like that's the type of shit I do. I don't actually like. I'm not in your face like fuck you. Like what the fuck is this? You're gonna get kicked. That's not my thing either. But I'm like the in between of like, hype and like what's the term abrasiveness.
Abrasive.
Like I'm like in between that. I'm like funny abrasive. Like I get loud, but I make a joke. It's like this weird, balancing act. But some people, yeah, you're right. They just like you have to learn who you can yell at, who you can't yell at, who you got to be nice to, who you got to be soft with. who you got. Have you ever heard of the sandwich theory, where you have to compliment, criticize, compliment? Oh, I fucking hate that with a
Oh.
passion, but sometimes you got to do it, bro.
Yeah, no choice, man. I do that a lot too. Like some
Yeah.
some of them just do better with that. Or whatever it takes, man.
Right,
As long
right,
as you play well, I'll serve it for you.
right. Data is, I don't have to say, that's been the number one thing I've tried to bring to esports for as long as I've been here.
I
I've been
remember.
so unsuccessful at trying to convince people. And then, in fairness, I also don't have the resources to like do what I feel like I'm best at. But I will say that I thought one of the smartest things you did, Fade, was bringing Ominous, because I've low key have known about him for a while, but I just don't have the ability to like, do all the
But yeah.
things I want to do. But yeah.
Yeah, like we all know, like having analysts is good, like especially data analysts, because I do watch football too. Like I understand like how he can help with all this stuff. Like, I remember one of his interview he did back then. I was watching. He was just mentioning like how he was helping Legia. So what you said was, my job is to find the problem, and the coach's job to deal with the problem. So I think like this will be a very good addition to me, because I don't have to find the problems myself now. Like he will just pull out all the data, say like, oh, we're lacking in this and that particular space, and I'll start working on it. It's very simple for me to deal with, so it's way quicker
Beautiful.
in how we improve right now.
Right.
So yeah, that's a big help.
Yeah,
And
I would argue.
having Ominous is like one of
Yeah.
the best in
Yeah.
Valorant. Why not? Like, thank you
I-
Blade, for messing up, I guess.
No
Of
argument
just
there.
picking him up. I actually wanted to
argument
push
there.
him to some other team, like back then, because I didn't think that I needed an analyst first. I was like, yo, this team is looking for an analyst. They might look for an analyst. Do you want to go there? I was asking Ominous. So I kind of pushed him there, but I think it didn't go well, right? That discussion with that team. So I was like, okay, don't worry. If they're not taking you, I'm taking you. So I gave him this option where
Of
if
course.
this team
No,
doesn't take
respect,
you, you can come
respect.
over here. So it's like, I want them to be their priority, because it's a
Yeah.
region. It's from Pacific. The team is from Pacific, and I think they can benefit from his help. But if they don't want you, just come over here, and I'll learn how to work with an analyst. Because I've never worked with an assistant coach or analyst before, so having him on my team is like a new experience where how I prepare my team and stuff. And for my assistant coach, Mark, he's actually someone that I've met back in my time in Team Secret. So I think this guy has a very good understanding and grasp like how to play the game, and he can help me deal with like more individual problems. While I can keep my mind on help shaping how I want my team to play. So my philosophy is, I'm not here to teach you how to shoot, but I'm here to teach you how to play as a team, and you have to play it my way. So when you play my way, I have to focus on this, so the two of them can help me deal with the other problems.
I think one of the biggest issues that Southeast Asia has, and why I think, like, you see how good PaperX is. We'll talk about PaperX in a minute, but like, why the inconsistency is there, I'm telling you, it's because, and I see this with the Thai players. The biggest reason why they haven't achieved the things that they all want to achieve, honestly, is because a lot of their decision making and a lot of their instinct is, or sorry, a lot of their decision making is controlled by instinct. It's not controlled about mathematics or analytics. You make the game
very
so much
unpolished.
easier when you know exactly like what the enemy weaknesses are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what you have to work on. Like, especially game planning. I can name, bro, in kickoff playoffs in season 1, there's a match that we had, which I won't really list here. Like, we can talk about it after. That loss is 100% purely on the fact that the only person outside of maybe Cruz, but the only person outside of like me and, no person outside of me and Cruz knows the enemy's weaknesses and strengths and is adapting to that in real time based on what the scouting report said they would do. Because you would know their first, second, and third options if you just paid attention to the scouting reports, but they don't. Because they trust their aim and their instincts far more than they ever will math. And I think that is one of the dumbest things, and it's not my players. It's just every player that tells me, like the thing I gave you, the whole like 7 out of 10 times you die. That's a DG Zin argument. I have no problem saying this now on Furia. One of the biggest issues I had with DG Zin was it doesn't matter what the fucking math says. He can be 1 for 50 on this spot. It's a good spot for him. He'll get this kill. It's like, bitch, no, you can't.
I'll get it next time.
What are we talking about, bro? And the amount of fucking times I hear this Kobe mama mentality shit also is like drives me crazy. You're not Kobe. The numbers say you're less efficient than Kobe, and Kobe was already one of the least efficient scorers in NBA history, which nobody wants to talk about. What they talk about is greatness, and this is no disrespect to the Mamba. I'm just saying, like, because people don't understand, because they look at the eye test. It's pretty. He gets highlights, all this stuff. It's like the cryo effect. Cryo looks amazing when you see the highlights, but when you break down the numbers,
Statistically, not that good.
at all.
It's just
At
about
all.
efficiency. We want efficiency.
And that I think is something that people like. One of my biggest reasons for success last year, I have no problem saying this now. I found the inefficiency in everything. Oh, this meta comp on this map. Why learn the meta comp? Let me just beat the meta comp. What is it good at? What is it bad at? What agents are good at this, bad at this? You just use math. Math solved all the problems last year I had. Comps, like situational stuff. I think this is why Ban and me mesh so well is I gave Ban the freedom. The only thing I did was give him guidelines on his matchup that he will see on the opposite side and like specific positional optional stuff. Like, small example, Haven. This game, do not fucking lurk B at all. You either round the world or you go garage to C. Do not. Why? Because X, Y, Z. This team, like I'm not going to go over the name, but like, yo, this team, they like to do a mid-re-clear most of the time. You're going to get caught out by multiple people. Instead of getting caught out by multiple people, take the one-on-one on the side. And then he'll do it. He'll have some success. He trusts you more. The next game, it's like, bro, B, every time. I don't want to hear it. You die 3 times in a row, go for a 4th. There's going to be a gap there. This team fucking doesn't re-clear middle ever. If they're just unlucky and you run into a bad game plan where like, you know, sometimes you have a game plan for a team and you're like, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and then they do the exact opposite because they're just changing their shit up, but you just can't predict that. Like, what I've learned is most teams, after about the 6th or 7th round, they'll normally fall back to what their strengths and weaknesses really are. So what you do is, I was just like, Ban, I don't give a fuck. If you die the first 3 rounds in the game, I don't care. You go. You hit this timing. Trust me, it'll be there. And then I think over time, then the player goes, okay, tell me what I need to know. Okay, well, what do they do? Okay, cool. All right. And then the week of practice, that's what he spends like honing his thing on, the mentality going into that match. And I think once you get to that point with players, it kind of works itself out. You obviously have to be more right than wrong. But that's the whole point of data and analytics. It's the number. You might be unlucky, and the one time they do it, it might be incorrect. But if you do this enough against these guys, if the numbers say you have a 70% chance of success, it's going to skew that way because of what it is. It's just hard in our league now because you have such a low, forget the sample sizes, because I can only play you once, the variance is always much higher. So even if numerically it says you have a really good shot at busting this while doing this, there's still no guarantee because if you wake up and you don't shoot well, or somebody fucking throws a couple rounds, or simply you're doing well but you lose in clutches, you can still lose a game. And then it's like, oh yeah, the math says all of these things should have worked, but then in application, get fucked, kid. It's like, but it's so hard. It is so hard to convince people that, in my opinion, don't have a mathematics background or even have the education behind basic like probabilities and statistics to even understand what you're saying. They think it's fugazi. They think it's like black magic or some bullshit hocus pocus. It's like, nah, bro, teams don't do this. Even if you show them like, yo, look, this happens, this happens, this happens. It's so fucking hard. It is probably my biggest struggle in Asia is trying to use math to convince players to solve problems when they're just like, no, I killed this guy. I'm just good.
I think it's because most players here, especially younger players, are very result oriented. And I think
Yes.
in this regard, I think you should never be. I think even more than data, it's much harder to make them understand that you should never be result oriented.
Right. I will not argue with that. That's what I meant by like when you only have one game and it doesn't work, then they just don't trust you. It's just like unlucky. Like the way I've kind of gone around that is.
I think Lysol.
What happened with Lisho?
Sorry.
What happened with Lysol?
I was saying like, our in a very recent experience with Lysol was, I think it was Sunset. He was very scared of looking up mid as a cipher. So I was like, I don't care how many times you die there, you have to go there and get understand the feeling like and timing, like how do you want to abuse this mid of this certain team. Like in scrims, we're gonna replicate that. I'll try to replicate the scenario for you, but you have to go there. But some of them are just too scared. They keep saying like, "Oh, but this guy has this ability, and he has this trap set up, and I have to be there to die." I'm like, bro, just go. Don't ask so much. Just go. Get it tested, okay? And you see why. Because we have the numbers and stuff to back it up, and the reasoning to back it up. We don't have to explain to you why yet, okay? But once you do it, you understand why we made you do it. You learn. That's how you learn. You don't ask the coach, why do I have to do this? You just do it first, and then we will explain to you later.
That's also a hard thing too, because then they don't know how. Like, yeah, it's interesting because depending on the game IQ. So like spring, right? I'm just pretending I'm coaching spring and not you. Based on what you have told me about spring, I think spring is a player. Like let's say Corrode on attack, right? The new map. Spring is a player that I think, based on what you said, I can go, yo, you're playing this agent. Let's say Viper. You're playing Viper on Corrode. I want you to go mid. I want you to attack. Instead of going like A splitting through the mid line, I want you to go up to B, like B split, like where they have like the window and then the door frame and then the connection to B. I want you to attack this game. I think that's a guy where you don't have to tell them how they can implement it. But I have, unfortunately, because I've had rookies 2 years in a row, I've had the most rookies I've ever had in Valorant. I have to, like, before we even go into anything, I have to go over every scenario. For instance, that same Viper analogy, right?
Yeah, that's dumb.
When they get to the next level, yo, as soon as you get to this door, you need to ask for the smoke here. Smoke. All right, boom. Now when you smoke, now if you go up the door, when you go left and right, now you need to figure out what you're going to do. Because if you're going to block the right rotation, that means you want the team to go left, right? Like you want to go B. Like you want to tell your IGL, I want to go B. Why? Because I'm going to kill the A cutoff or I'm going to hear them rotating through middle, right? If you go to the left frame, you got to do the exact opposite. But then they have to know, but then you have to tell them, as soon as you get up, you have to look at the mini map. Why? Because you need to know where the bomb is. If the bomb's shading left or right, the bomb is going to tell you whether you go left or right. And if you want to break that, then you need to tell them early what you're going to do, like the moment you're up middle. So now I have to throw all this information. Why? Because some players don't have the natural game IQ to be able to do these things. You will literally throw a scrim. But then, like, you want to know what the problem I'm having is? Now I have guys that what I just told you takes me 2 hours to explain.
All right.
Players like Nitro, for instance, that I've had, I don't even have to explain this. He'll do this in real time, in game. Like, and then afterwards, when we talk about it, I'm like, yo, why did you make this call? Or why'd you do this? He's like, well, because I kind of felt blah, blah, blah. And then that's how we fix the nuance of, like, how we do stuff. But it's like now I have to, like, convince them to do it. Then it's too hard. Then they don't want to do it. Then you don't want to VOD review it because that's more time out of practice. So now you have to simplify stuff so much that it's like X equals Y, Y equals Z, but then it makes you so, like, antiable. Then it makes you so susceptible as the season goes on to people identifying your first, second, and third option. Whereas, like, last season, for instance, I didn't have this problem. You know why? I just switched comps on you. I don't give a fuck what you think. Like, you think I'm running this? You're doing all the studying for this? Yeah, good luck, because next comp, good luck. So it's like, so if I had a guy like Spring, I think it'll be easier for me as a person and as a coach.
Definitely.
Because he'll do all that stuff by himself in the first 12 rounds.
They just run the simulation in their brain and they understand like how they need to get to the position themselves. Like prime example is just Lyso and Spring. Lyso have to plan out every fucking A to Z scenario to him to make him understand how to play. I'm like, bro, you're a pro player. Use your brain, please.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, try to think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try to think.
Yeah, try to think. Force yourself to think. That's how you evolve. If you don't think, you're never gonna learn. Okay?
Right.
That's why I put him to that position like 12 times in a row. I don't care. This scrim, you go there 12 times. Okay, gain your experience that you need. Okay, then you understand how to play. If you can't think, you go gather like real life experience, like real experience over there. Even if it's a tournament, I'm like, you have to be there. I don't care. If you lose, that's on me. I don't care. Just go there. Okay, go there for me, and you understand why. It's like, where else Spring is like, Spring, I need to get this control. Do it your way. I just say do it your way. Okay. I don't touch too much on how Springs play, but
Right.
I tell him like what I need from him, like what Hector mentioned earlier. But for Lyso, bro, I remember there's this one time on Split, on defense, I had to explain 4 hours to him about how to play fucking Cypher on defense against a Viper. Well, fuck me, bro. We ended prac at like 9. I went to bed at like 2 because I had to fucking explain to him at like
Yeah.
4 to 5 hours. Like, bro. And the next day, he'd do the same shit again. Like,
Yeah, I don't mind if people. So I think I struggle with rookies, especially not asking questions, and then finding out in a game like it happened to us against RQ, where like all of a sudden I'm realizing that part of the game plan isn't being executed because we're for some reason not playing retake on C on Lotus, and I'm like, the fuck? That was like my bread and butter last year. I'm expecting it to be this year, and then I found out afterwards like we weren't really confident. Like I wasn't really confident in our retakes. So like I didn't want to retake. I had to fight for my life. I'm like, why the fuck am I finding this out after the game?
yeah.
Why am I? That's I think the biggest struggle. Like I think some of my players now, like the rookies, are actually really intelligent people. The thing I believe and I'm noticing is that I just think they don't like the uncomfortable nature of like losing or dying. They hate that so much. They rather not like enter the zone where you can do that. Like I think they would rather 4-1 on split where they're basically the late guy killing the mid lurk than actually playing A, going up ramps, looking for the fight heaven. They'd rather play like that because they're alive late, their stats are good, and I'm not accusing anyone of like playing for stats. It's more just like it's uncomfortable to get your ass beat. And then it's uncomfortable to ask questions like, yo, I need help with this. I'm struggling with this. I do think part of it is age and experience, but I also think like a big part of it is, I think culturally, because people get shit on so much, VLR, Twitter, Facebook, all this bullshit. I think it creates this weird dynamic in people that failure is like death, and it's like actually failure is like growth. It's like the fastest way to grow. And it's like this weird thing where like this is like a cultural thing that I'm struggling with now. It's like I'm okay with being wrong because I learned something. People hate being wrong. They'd rather fight to the death to be right. And I'm like, huh?
That's a good example. Like in Toronto, that's what happened to Lysor in our match versus Sentinel. He was so afraid to make mistakes. It actually made it worse for him because he had this very bad record of performance in the international stage. I was like, it's okay to play like shit on your first map, okay, on your first game here. I need it to remind you how I want you to play the next game. So trust me, listen to me. Play it the way I want, and I need it from you, and you'll be fine. And he just did better throughout the whole tournament, which is good.
Yeah.
They need this kind of example. I think like what Ominous mentioned, they are very result oriented, but bro, just to stop doing it your way and just listen to us. We're your coach for a reason. Just listen to your coach.
And we don't have all the answers because I certainly have been wrong. It's more just like, at least now I know, okay, fuck, this idea doesn't work. Now you need to come up with something else. Whereas if you don't flesh out the idea, you never know. You might be missing on what becomes a new meta because you're too afraid to do it.
Like, we always have to find out like what's new and stuff. Like, bro, come on, man. We're the coach, but we get the updates at the same time as you. Like, what do you think? We're not gods. We can't just read everything outright just by reading a patch note. We have to test and try stuff.
Yeah.
Trial and error and stuff is very important. That's why sometimes after a big meta shift, I just throw a lot of like random comps and try to find out what's more comfortable. That's how I try to find a comp for my team. That's why right now I think we can play double duelist, double controller, double initiator, or double sentinel. We can play everything, which is it's a result from that. Like, we do so much trial and error, and we understand the strength and weakness of a lot of comps across all 7 maps. So that kind of helps.
I think your idea, by the way, this will be my last thing on this. I think your idea to like use scrims as a playground to try new agents is something Jovi did on GC, and he's like trying to bring that integration into Talon, where like you have like days where you just play random shit. And then you just try to work on how these things work. I think it's excellent for the development of young players, especially like, you know, if you do it in GC and all that stuff. I think that's also a fantastic way to sort of like expand pools and like just people's thinking. But you also have to have people open enough to want to do that too.
So, you know, when I signed Lysor, I told him, you'll be my sentinel main. I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna put you on controller. look what happened to him. He's on Omen most of the maps
Yeah.
now. And I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be on Brimstone on some maps soon. Is this thing like
Bind's back out
they're
now.
so fixated on their role? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Just make these change and you win. We have the better understanding. We see the whole thing. You guys are playing. We as coach, we see the POVs, like how comfortable we are and how you can help the team better. If we give you this feedback, try to listen to us. Like really, sometimes players all they have to do is just listen to their coach more, follow through the plan, and you see the difference. Unless the coach is dumb, but in my case, I'm sure I'm smarter than I saw. Okay, so he has to understand this.
That's a
I'm
tough
sure he
battle,
does
cause,
now.
because there's
Yeah.
times
He
where
does.
players do think that they're smarter than the coach, and
Yeah.
that's when stuff gets a little weird.
Because
You
they're
know-
like, oh, I'm higher ranked than you. Like, why do I want to listen to you? You know, shit like this. Then I'm like,
Yeah.
then every time they get slapped in the face with how they play, I'm like, yeah, good, high rank.
Yo,
Okay, good for you.
Me and Baby Bay talk about this, and it's something that I think players need to like really understand. Like, yes, players are better than us, of course, but the difference is they spend time in their own experience playing with behind their crosshair. Most coaches are watching so many other people do it, and they're just like, oh wait, it looks like most people have more success doing this. We don't do that. Hey, buddy, why not? Or the opposite happens where you see a certain death area. Like I'm sure Ominous to talk more about this heat mapping. When you start figuring out where people are dying the most, and then you start understanding the reason why they're dying the most, oftentimes it protects us from our teams. They're like, yo, this area is a really dangerous spot. Go here. Less people die, but it gives you the same info and angle structure and like, angle advantage on the next fight and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, bro, you are better, man. Congrats. If I were
better,
better,
bro.
I'd be playing, brother. So it's like you have to have that like conversation. Like
Yeah.
it's so funny that that's always a response, and I just always question. It's like, yeah, man, why the fuck am I coaching if I'm better than you? Like, duh.
Well, let's get back on track with like some of the games that you guys played, and then look forward to stage 2. So I know we talked a little bit about Toronto, in terms of your opening match on Sentinels, but you guys took out Gen G, Heretics, Billy RRQ, and then you lost to Paper Rex, and then you lost to Fnatic. I guess because we're stretching out the time here, let's just talk about the Fnatic matchup that you guys had. Actually, let's talk about Gen G first, and then let's talk about Fnatic. We'll skip the Paper Rex. We'll skip the other teams for now.
Okay.
So the Gen G matchup, the reason why I want to talk about this the most is because you guys came back from like the craziest deficits of all time. And I want you to give your perspective on not only what was going on in the actual comms, because I think it turned around every single time you did a timeout, obviously. But then also, why is this happening to Gen G? Because this is this happened even beyond you guys. This happened with them against G2 as well. So I want to get both of your guys' thoughts on, how that whole comeback came to fruition for you guys. But then also, what does Gen G need to do to fix their problem of like choking?
I think everyone should realize by now that Gen G's main problem is their mental, it's not their strategies. So when you have bad mental, once you lose a couple rounds, you start doubting yourself, and I was going to start exploiting that against you. So that's what happened against Gen G. Like, I know Texture is a very good player, but with all the heat maps we have, we know how he performs, and I certainly understand all the other players, like how they move around the map and their weaknesses. So we kind of try to exploit their weakness a lot, despite I think why we're 0-6 down across both maps, because we played into their hands. We played so slow and stuff, and they gained so much map control. Texture just pulls out an orb, and we're fucked. Okay, so but we have the double controller comp on split against Gen G, and yeah, they were very, very good on what defense, because they lock shit, but doesn't really matter though, because they have a Teho. We knew they ran a Teho. Once you cast the drone, you're fucked. You're not gonna gain any comms, like information against us. Then you're dead. They played it bad. Teho, they played it bad, very, very bad. I'm not sure why they ran the Teho, because maybe comfort pick or some stuff. But it's just certain comms we know the weakness. Once you get the condition laid out to you, basically you just wander around, because they have no answer to our comp, definitely. But on Sunset, I think what happened was we managed to avoid Texture very, very well based on his hit map and stuff. Like map movement, we tried to exploit that a lot.
He just likes the A line, and then his first pivot timing is the same. Like
brother, now
you take the A line from them.
So you just want to throw in some confusion to them to not make him
Yeah.
feel like we're avoiding him. So the
Mhm.
main game plan against Genji, I can just share it here, is like we don't want him to feel like we are avoiding him. So that's why a couple rounds we shove all our util to his face to give him this confusion that we're not avoiding him. We're not scared of you. You can stay here as long as you want. Okay, but you're a neon. Why do you want to be at elbow all the time? You can float around the map. But by the time you float around the map, I have a cipher, I have a Sova, I can gain info. You're appearing B, means your teammates are somewhere else, and we are prepared for the situation. We know how to deal with this setup of yours. You're not gonna come back against us because we're one step ahead of you. But if you play in a very default way against Genji, it will never work because Genji is so heavily prepped with their strategies and stuff. All the Korean teams are. You don't want to play like too slow against them. That's why I think double duelist was a very good comp against them, because we can just switch up the speed, pace.
Yeah. That's
you-
why
I have-
DRX has so much success in the
listen, you're human and
in the Korean matchup. Yeah.
I think previously DRX they had flashback. Flashback it's good, man. Flashback and
Oh, him getting
they just
dropped
run-
is the funniest story. I'll tell you
he's
guys
so
after.
good,
I
dude.
won't even explain, bro. When I tell you guys are gonna laugh.
So
I'm not
good,
gonna
dude.
drop news on the show because, but
I think losing flashback is a huge blow to them.
yeah, for sure.
Very, very huge blow.
Yeah,
It's not that Bane is bad. It's just having flashback gives them the option to play so well the double duelist comp that
Mhm.
DRX has been doing lately. I think in the current meta, double duelist is pretty strong because of Yoru. Yoru is not really
Yeah.
like a duelist type of
Yeah.
agent. It's like
he's a better Sky replacement.
He's
That's
an
why it works.
initiator. I keep
He's
saying
really,
this.
he's, bro. I've been saying this since he
Yeah.
came out. He's a better Sky replacement, but
Yeah,
nobody
like-
wanted to run it.
because people suck at throwing flashes in this game. People, bro, Juicy, bro. This guy blinds himself more than blinding the enemy. I'm like, brother,
More than
please stop
Divide?
blinding us.
More than Devi?
Definitely. Juicy blinds himself so frequently. I'm like, please stop doing that. Like,
Damn.
learn how to flash. Go into the custom. Learn how to flash. Okay, so I have to drag him
Yeah.
into custom before our matches every day and make sure he
yeah.
practices flashes and stuff.
That's
You know,
tough.
a lot of Yoru is lineups though. Like if you watch like some
Of
of the best
course.
Yorus, like and I'm just gonna say it, like
Exter.
I was literally gonna say Exter
Number
has
one.
lineups for like
Exter is
almost every
very good.
spot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, it's very,
lineups
very
for
good.
like every fucking spot on every map.
You have to. Why not? Why are you playing a? Anyways, I
It's
don't
a
even want
strength.
to get into my soapbox.
Yeah.
It's a strength of that.
Don't even
But-
want to get into my soapbox about this.
But yeah, so the Genji game is more towards mental because I know that once we get like a couple of rounds in, and like we keep standing and taunting them, they're not gonna come back.
Yeah, they
Because
get,
I know some of their players they get hit up very, very easily, and once that happens, they can't think straight, and they will start playing into our hands.
it's yeah. I don't. So we can never do that because we don't have the personality for that.
Just make
Like-
them stand up. Doesn't matter. You just look at
Yeah,
Lester,
but
just
we
stand
don't
up
have.
doing
We
nothing.
are polite and nice and kind and shy.
Good
and-
guys don't win game.
Listen, but the thing, bro, people don't understand the whole mental part of like competition is understanding your opponent. And some people play better when they're mad. So shut the fuck up and don't say shit, right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
And some people start getting more aggressive the more you get. So then you know exactly what's coming. The more you talk shit to them. But like that psychological part of the game is not something that I think
People understand.
many people understand.
Yeah,
And
it's
certainly,
never
I know
just-
right now my players do not even think about that part of the game at all.
It's never just in game strategies or in game
Yeah.
strategy. If you affect him outside the game, how is he gonna think straight? He's gonna start making stupid mistakes. We saw a lot
Yeah.
in this tournament. Like once teams get tilted, they start making rookie mistakes. They die out of nowhere when we get play advantage and stuff. It's bad.
Yeah.
Mental is very important. Like my players here, they always get taunted and stuff. Whatever, bro. Just taunt. I tell them just hide your head, bury your head behind the monitor. If you lose the round, don't look at them because I know they're gonna stand up and taunt us. But when we win, make sure you guys stand up, roar at them, shout at them. Okay, get into their head. Once you get that through, game is so much easier. That's why sometimes online, under no pressure, they perform so well because everything's like smooth sailing. That's the beauty of LAN. You want to get into their head.
I mean,
Yeah,
no
100%.
argument out of me.
100%.
About this 6-0 down, I think if you look at kickoff and stage 1 data, I think Wolves should be like the worst team who went up like 11 or 12 up. I don't know, 12 to X or 11 to X, and then from there we went on to lose the round.
We're fucking chokers, man, back then.
Lose the game. What I mean, and I think this whole Toronto experience, it's sort of been like a coming of age for our players, at least from a psychological or a mental perspective. I think we gained so much from this tournament, especially like building personalities and having, a personality on stage. And yeah, I think we will definitely take this back into stage two, and it'll help us.
It's like we found an answer to some of our problems during
Yeah,
this tournament. So I think it's gonna help a lot. I mean, specifically like how we couldn't manage to like end like finish the map by winning, like what Ominous mentioned, like we're always in a big lead, but we managed to throw so much. Like back in stage one, the playoffs, after we qualified for Toronto, we went to Beijing to play against PLG, XLG in the upper finals.
XLG. Yeah,
Yeah, so in split one, we choked twice against XLG. We were both in a big lead, and then they just came back all the way. It's the way we handled to close out the match was very, very bad. So we installed like new protocols. Like once you reach these certain points, there are certain things that we have to do. So we followed through, and the results proved very, very well during this Masters Toronto run.
How good is Raga for real?
Raga, it's insane.
You've been
He
playing against
he,
him for a while too, right?
he was
And
my
then,
player in XLG.
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, he was your player, literally. Yeah.
So the way Raga works is like he requires a lot of support because his communication isn't the best. Like in XLG, they need to comms in English because of Raga. He hasn't picked up Chinese that well yet. So for a duelist, you want like comfortable entries and stuff for someone like him. If you can get him to the spot, he'll kill everyone for you. But if you can't send him to this spot that he needs, he's not gonna kill anyone. Just get
Feast
him
or
to the spot
famine,
and he
yeah.
kills everyone. His aim is one of the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's hard to win that way, but
like
consistent.
that's why it was so awkward in Toronto, right? Because he had an initiator that like literally didn't even speak the same language, right?
Midi doesn't speak English that well. I mean, I don't blame him. He's like a last minute replacement and stuff.
no,
You don't
yeah,
have the
for sure,
chemistry.
Yeah.
And you're communicating in a different language compared to what you usually did, and you don't have the experience of competing in VCT. He only played like 2 matches in VCT, and he got caught up to Toronto like pro. He's such a huge jump. Not every rookie can handle that.
No, for
And-
sure.
And you're coming in as the first seed of China. The pressure is there. You're feeling a big shoe. Like YOU was a very YOU. I think he's a player where he mid rounds a lot. So when XLG lost him, it's a huge blow to their game plan.
Mhm.
And if Midi can't tell what Raga to do mid game, they're fucked. You can't always rely on duelists to tell you what to do. Sometimes it's the initiator at the back that says, "Yo, there's a gap. Let's exploit. Go. Just 1, 2, boom, go." You don't wait. Sometimes the gap's there for a couple seconds. The window is very, very small. You have to go in.
Yeah. A team that I noticed that was struggling a lot in the match against, I think it was Fnatic, was G2. Like they were a little bit hesitant on split, and I remember me and Frost were talking about it. Those like little, even just 1 second timings that they would normally take against any other team or any other scenario, like they would have won the round and they didn't, and they ended up losing the round because of it.
Yeah.
I think the pressure of being at the brink of elimination takes that away from you. Like you wouldn't want to like do all these high risk plays. That's why people extend out this tournament. They do all the craziest,
They just
craziest
do not
shit.
give a fuck.
When they're behind, like when it's
They doubled
I mean,
down.
they've always done
we
that.
watched
though.
an icebox. I think they ended
Yeah.
up losing the map anyway. But we watched the icebox and like they were down like fucking 12-7 or something.
Yeah.
Still laughing.
And then all of a sudden they just start fucking they just start
and they get
running
more
it down.
aggressive. They're
They start
more
running
aggressive.
it down and they end up bringing
Yeah.
it back to OT. They lost anyway, but like still, I
Yeah.
was just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
They
it's
have
crazy.
they have the best mentor in this tournament. I'll say that for sure.
Facts.
Like, we managed to tilt everyone, but like you mentioned, some players they just play better when they're laughing. Like I know for sure. Like we must not tilt something. This guy is, I don't know. When he gets challenged, he plays better, which is true. He did play better.
Bro, he had I don't know, he almost had an O burger.
Qualify.
And then
yeah.
goes on a plus 20, like back to, it's just like, yeah, okay. He's like
so-
minus
Fine, he's
50 and then just goes plus 20, plus 20, plus 20. It's like, yeah, okay, man. GG, bro.
he has very high peaks. The guy.
Oh, it's incredible.
So now that
Easy
we're
or-
talking
yeah.
about XLG, what do we think about NoMan replacing him or replacing the stand-in? And do we think we're going to see a stronger XLG now at EWC? Like, are they going to have a better showing than they did at Toronto?
I think from
I-
a communication POV, I think NoMan is half British, right? Or
Yeah.
something.
You think
Yeah,
he's
he's
very,
been
very
playing in like EMEA.
Yeah,
like
so
challengers, I believe. EMEA challengers.
XLG comes in English anyway, so I think
Mm.
him being there now, it'll help Raga, I think. So
So you think Roger is gonna like go the fuck off now? Like you think he's gonna be enabled and like XLG can be like a dark horse at EWC? Or
NoMan is a
No,
decent player, I think.
I don't think it's
Yeah,
playing in the EWC. I think the registration
yeah,
deadline is crossed. I think Boya will step in EWC.
oh, okay. That's
But I think
that's
No Man is a very selfless player from what I've seen before. Like came out in my scouting back then when I was at XLG. But he went to RA after Predator. So we played against him 3 times in Ascension. So all these 3 times he's being the sacrificial lamb for Udotan and stuff. Like he always die for the team. So players like with this kind of trait, they can't do bad when they go onto a support role because they are so selfless. They always want others to do well, and he's a motivator. So I think XLG will benefit from his addition
mm.
because he's someone that will hype up a team. Look at XLG. They look like a dead horse on the stage, bro.
Oh, dude, it was
No one is shouting. They look so demotivated playing there, and some of them just say they want to go home. I'm sure. I heard like, oh, I just want to finish this tournament and go home, stuff like this. No, bro, you can't have this kind of mentality. You're at the international event, so it's so hard to come by, and you want to go
Yeah.
home. What are you saying? Are you trolling?
Yeah, I would have been very upset. So it's like,
That's
it goes again. It's like someone like me just can't. I can't fathom that being a mentality of someone I'm around.
like
It
you
it's just,
as a competitive player, you always want to win. You don't feel like you want to lose and
yeah,
go home. Once you have that idea, you're fucked.
yeah, it's true. I mean, I say this about players. Once a player loses a confidence, my immediate thought is to replace them. Once I hear about you losing confidence, once you start telling me like, I don't think I can do this, I don't think I can do this, I'm like,
Gone.
there's a difference between yo, I'm struggling with this, and I don't think I can do this.
You have no confidence. You're not gonna do what the coaches ask, and you're gonna lose all your gunfights.
Yep,
Confidence plays a huge part, man. In this game.
100%.
If you think you're the best, you're just gonna go out and take a fight, and you might
Yeah,
win. And if you have no confidence, you're gonna play so scared. You're gonna eat your life, bro.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
well, let's talk about China Stage 2 then. Let's look at these first opening matchups and then let's get into the opening matchups of UWC and just do some predictions and you guys are looking forward to your match against FPX. But let's start with EDG versus Titan.
no,
Obviously-
Lysor is.
Yeah. obviously EDG is just like swapping out that fucking fifth player. They can't seem to like get their grounding now after, after the Simon
I think that
stuff.
was such a stupid move.
Even though they like won with GN to qualify for EWC, he still got replaced, right? So it's like
I think Jenny is playing EWC. I'm not sure if they can change the roster in the last minute. I hope they can. If they can, means NoMan will be playing for XLG.
right, yeah. We'll find out.
I understand so we talked about that on the show, and I won't get into everything, but I think EDG. I understand why they felt after Thailand they needed to, but I think the interpersonal stuff is tough, and this goes back to what we talked about. This is why you need someone to help when you have these but like in general, like Simon to me, even though his stats were bad, he was such an important reason, especially on their bind. If you think about it, he's doing all the dirty work on bind, the flash
Thank
pop
for the team.
plays, the timings. So it's like, oh man, I was so bummed out when they decided to change him. And then when I heard about the fighting between what was going on and all that stuff, I just think it's like people are people are people, and like, I say this a lot, which I don't think I've ever said this to you, but like situations matter, and sometimes you don't realize how good you have it until it's no longer there, and then there's no way to ever get that back. So it's always in your best interest.
That.
Yeah. So like it's always in your best interest to like go as far as you can. And when a team wins a title, even if there are problems, you still should probably go to the end, in my opinion, because the amount of recall you have, the amount of situations that you can go back and be like, yo, you remember we did this play, blah, 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 blah. Yo, I think it'll work here. You never get that stuff when you change players. But having that deeper in tournaments is important. And even if a guy isn't playing well or beef is happening, I really thought they shouldn't have made a change, and I was so against it then. And now that we're talking about this in fucking July, I'm still like, what the fuck was EDG doing when they made this change?
Both the management and the players, they messed up in this case. In my opinion, like all this stuff should be handled in private.
Yeah,
The
facts.
problem is they made it public, so there's no going back now.
It looked like a PR disaster, more like.
It was.
Yeah.
Like Simon post sharing his like conversation with the manager should never be leaked out in the first place, and
Yeah,
the players should have never posted all this stuff in
Dude.
public against him. Like it's just bad. The way they handle it is very, very bad.
Yeah. And it just sucks because I felt like that roster, even if they weren't like the best, if they make it to the show, that's still like they have everything they need, obviously, in order to win it. But like in general, you have to respect that team. And as long as they can like keep putting band-aids on the problems, their experience both together and their experience of winning a title, it still matters. Whereas the more you keep switching, the less chances you have, unless you hit lightning in a bottle, which, by the way, I remind everybody, they fucking hit lightning in a bottle with Simon.
Yeah.
They randomly picked them up, and within a
He's a
month went to
jackpot.
champs,
They won
and they
champs.
win.
I think
So,
another thing is
That shit doesn't happen twice.
They've never had a problem with Simon until then, and when problems like this arise, you deal with it properly.
Right, I agree.
It's not. They just went past the honeymoon period of winning champs.
Yeah.
Okay. It's common to have arguments and fights after honeymoon period, right? It's very, very common. It's like a rough period you have to go through. So they failed at that, so they had to change.
It's grief because I felt so bad and I still feel so bad. And though EDG
They were the best five.
Yeah.
He enabled the other four to play so well.
Right. And I hate that for people because I talk about this with Cruz a lot. I just fucking hate this whole stats revolution. And it's why, like, when we were in CS, Stats Helix was so big on flash accuracy. Because people used to shit on Markelov all the time. But dude, there was a stat which was insane. It was something like, yo, Markelov's flash success. So in CS, what you could get from the old API, the old GoTV, was like flashes, right? Like flash accuracy. But flash accuracy also counted as a positive if you self-flashed or flashed teammates. So when we fixed an iteration of their GoTV, and in the API, what came out of that was we can now extrapolate what a real flash is and take out the bad flashes. So, for instance, if I self-flash, that shouldn't count as a flash success, right? Or if I flash a teammate, that shouldn't count as a flash success. When we did the numbers and we broke down support players from like Taco, like all the players at the time, right? Markelov had like a 79% flash success rate, excluding self-flashes and teammates. Bro, the next highest I think was it MBK? Or yeah, it was like some shit. It was like some player was like 61%. You know what it is to have like a 18% difference at the supportive role over the next supportive player? Like, and the thing is, no one knows that. And up until today, like, it's not like I mean, at the time, Satilix did put stuff on Twitter and all that stuff about that. So like, we try to highlight that as much as possible because Marek was my player. But like, in general, the fact that like Valorant doesn't have this stuff, it still bothers me. Ominous, you can talk to how shitty the API is, which you don't really need to talk about. Like, we don't have fucking real-time telemetry, which I know most people don't understand, but like, fuck. But anyways.
I think though, after the whole replay system comes out in September, I think we'll have better understanding.
No. Yeah, but for me, I'm pissed because I've been neutered the last 5 years, and you know the thing I'm the best at, I can't even fucking use. But anyways, the point I'm making up is like, when I see this, because of my experience in CS, I saw Simon and was like, bro, the amount of times teammates got forward. So there's no way to track this currently, but I do think this is something that CS shouldn't have, that Valorant should have. And a lot of it comes from abilities. And it's, you know how in soccer, Fade, you have assists, like the assist to the assist?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the pass to the pass that leads to the goal? Right? That's not a real
creation.
Like, right. That's not a real stat for like TV, but it's a real stat in analytics departments.
Yeah.
Right? Simon was responsible for power angles. So think deep line, XYZ, you know, blah, 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 blah on maps. The amount of times that he got someone something and then went somewhere else and affected 2 different parts of the map by that, just alone, is insane. And I can see this because I'm watching Bangkok like, damn, bro, this is fucking sick. And I'm like hitting up Cruz, like talking like, yo, you should look at this round. Like, look at this. Like, yo, we should steal this play because, you know, blah, 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 right? And then all of a sudden, like, you hear the thing of like, oh, he's like minus 20 on a bind. I was like, yeah, but I don't think you guys realized how fucking good he played on that map. I forget the team I'm thinking of, but there was a bind where his stats were terrible. But if you look at that defensive side, I'm telling you, that defense looks so fucking good because this guy was like doing this for that guy, then going there, then rotating here. His Molly stopped the first turn there. And then, yeah, he fucking died to some fucking, you know, insert raise or some shit going over his head, blasting him in the face with a fucking judge. But like the 3 things he did there, if they're not noticed, it looks like he's just an idiot dying to this fucking raise. But like, yo, I will trade that chess piece every time. I'll take this fucking death for these 3 spots right here. Or not 3 spots, but like I'll stop 1 turn here, forward position here, like good position there for that death every time. I'll go down 4v5 on defense because I know with this I can win on a retake now. Because
sometimes you need to get a prime position.
Right.
That's a prime position I call like I need this position so my other teammates can do better that round. So someone has to die.
But it sucks in Valorant that like that's like a conversation that never gets talked about. These are things that like people like don't even understand, like about like not just the game, the teams, but like just in general, how you can suck stats wise, but have massive impact. And there's no way for us to articulate that because even if we do the math, like Ominous would do, like show you the math, it's irrelevant because nobody gives a fuck about the stats or the math. Like that analytical stuff about win percentage based on having these areas of the map at these critical times is like black magic
right now.
Yeah,
but we understand.
It's black magic.
The problem is most people don't even play for stats. They play for VLR rating, and
fair.
Most players have kind of figured out the 2 things that influence your rating the most is lesser first deaths and a positive KD. And you can achieve this by basically baiting the rest of your team.
Just do extra fracts.
And most people actually play for the rating, and they've kind of figured out how to get a better rating. And I mean that's why we're in the position that we're in right now. Like especially like players playing for stats and rating.
I mean, no shade, but Scary is the most. He's like the James Harden of that, which you just talked about, right? And this is no disrespect, but it's true. He's like the James Harden of that thing, and it like sucks. But like this is like, bro, to me it's a fucking epidemic, bro. The amount of teams and players like I don't even want to even talk, bro. There are some co-streamers now who had successful careers that I'm telling you are victims of this, that are guys that basically don't even notice how much impact a player is having if it isn't on the stat sheet. And it's like, brother, you're too smart. Like how is this happening, buddy? It's so sad, and it bothers me. And it's like arguably one of my biggest arguments, even with players, is like, wait, this isn't bad. This is good. It doesn't matter if this resulted in a death. And it's just like they don't understand the yin and yang, or like a lot of it is also chess because pattern recognition I think is at an all-time low in Valorant because we have gone mechanically so high. Like our aim now as teams is to find the most young cracked aimers right now in this meta. Right now. Right? Young people, I have noticed, they don't even play chess. So they don't even understand pattern recognition at a basic level. And it goes back to what I said about the Simon thing about the chessboard. I will go down 4v5 on defense, which seems to be like fundamentally the wrong thing to do. But in reality, I think CS fundamentals and Valorant fundamentals, those days are over. The fundamentals are not the same. And this was even, I'm gonna tell you a quick story because I realized this even more at the Austin major when I'm around like, you know, like Simple, Kerrigan, like Blade and stuff. And when you listen to them talk about like MR12, these guys are just learning stuff we have dealt with now for 5 years. For instance, people don't realize, you know what the meta is right now in CS2, it's you lose pistol, MP9 buy, half armored gun buy, full buy. You know what that sounds like? Stinger, or you lose pistol, stinger, gun buy.
Yeah.
It's the same shit. Like, they are going through and experiencing, like, it was kind of funny for me to listen to them because, like, in my head, like, I didn't say this out loud, but, like, in my head, I'm just laughing like, like, hearing their complaints to me is fucking hilarious because they're beginning to think about Valorant without thinking about abilities. Because every single thing that most of us have been dealing with in terms of the money, weapon-specific stuff, like how overtuned lower buy weapons are to upper buys, like think Judge meta for a while, or think the Bucky meta for a while, or now the Stinger meta that we're in or whatever. They are beginning to now calculate this in all of their stuff, and they're like sharing secrets and talking to stuff, and I'm just laughing like, bitch, you did this shit like 4 years ago, bro. And it's just, it's like so amusing to me because I'm just a fly on the wall listening and like enjoying like time with friends and shit. But like in reality, I'm just thinking like the days of Valorant taking cues from CS is now over because the games are now so fundamentally different. Because I'd argue that the first 12 to 15 agents in Valorant, you could still play a heavy CS style tempo and like game structure. But the moment we started getting characters like Deadlock, Taeho, Vice, those conversations are gone. CS fundamentals should never be considered fundamentals in Valorant anymore. And I think this is also like a thing I'm struggling with like convincing people or like talking to people about is because like I think there's still this thing where, this is no direct shot to Lothar. I think he's like the big champion of this. I actually like Lothar a lot, so this is like really not smoke, but like there's a big perception that like teams and players don't have fundamentals. But the argument is, yes, we don't have CS fundamentals. You know why? Because that shit no longer applies now. I'm the guy. I've had 8 majors in CS:GO. Just go look on HLTV. You'll see me in a bunch of those picture dumps in the back of my teams. I'm telling you right now, the CS fundamentals do not apply to Valorant. At this current stage of the game, we have come so far and advanced so far from what tactical FPS game theory is. Our game is so unique and so different that you cannot use that as a basis, a template for what you're supposed to do. Now, if you want to talk about what the Valorant fundamentals should be, I think this is a conversation all of us need to start having. Because
probably this trade-off is very important.
It's so crazy that every team is so different in how they deal with all of this stuff. And that's fine. I think that's a good part. I'm not complaining about that. I'm saying like, but there is no technical Valorant fundamental game theory book yet. All of us are still, bro, look at the diversity of comps just even in Toronto. You motherfuckers are running like Chamber on Pearl with Yuikao, which, by the way, he's a beast. I know. I experienced
Chamber on
things.
Ascent
I know.
as well.
Right. You see the Vice Chamber from WADA comp being used by Fnatic on stage. That's a tier 2 team. Tier 2 team. GC team. Mainly. But I think they're good enough to be, I think they could beat most teams in tier 2 NA anyway. So I consider them at the level of tier 2, not tier 3. But that's a tier 2 team that gave one of the best teams at the tournament. Like, look at Fnatic's Ascent before and look at it after that comp. Look at the power it gave them. Look at the the character diversity that exists in Valorant now. This is why I think it's hard to settle on Valorant fundamentals. So I'm certainly not going to be like, oh, Talon has the best Valorant fundamentals or Gen G has the best. None of us know. None of us know. But I am very sure about one thing, that CS fundamentals no longer apply to Valorant. Tactical FPS game theory has to change for what we know of it. It has to be adjusted to what this shit is. That took so long, but I just
Oh, good.
it is what it is.
So
Oh, look at G2, dude. The G2 Thrifty's too strong, man. That shit's fucking goofy.
Bro,
to
dude,
God.
oh my God.
I swear to God.
Fucking Cruz can never turn it off. Bro, so we figured out this thing where you could like lose pistol, stinger by, buy.
Yeah.
So we get many times to do that. Now for us it didn't work as much because we kept going 0-4. Like if you look at Nongshim.
I know, you guys were getting cooked.
Bro, the
Getting
game
shit
plan
right
was, yo, Cruz promised me. He looked at me in my face and said, I'm not gonna do it, bro.
I know, you told me the story.
He looked at me and said, all right, Hector, I'm not gonna do it. I was like, bro, enough with this fucking thing, bro. I'm tired of going down 0-4. Bro, we go down 0-4 both halves doing the same shit again. We come back and win the map. Like, they win one gun round, by the way. We won 13-9 after giving them 8 rounds. Right? But it's the fact that, like, we are in a state in Valorant where we're experimenting so much with the game, the characters, MR12, the money, that it's probably the most fun time to be in Valorant at the current moment with the current state of the game. Now that they've changed Tejo for sure, because I think Tejo actually fundamentally broke the game, but that's a totally different topic of discussion.
Okay, so the teams that are attending Esports World Cup is what it's just had the page open for China.
Paper
specifically.
Rex,
RRQ.
PDG. We didn't make it because we,
Yeah,
you know.
O2 Barbecue, man. Okay, so it's Billy, it's Xi Lai Gaming, and then it's
PC.
Titan,
Yeah.
Titan and EDG.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Titan can do well.
Yeah, like in that bracket.
You're
There's a
higher on
chance
Titan
they
than
can
I
do
am.
well.
Okay,
I'm
so
not that high
so
on
can
Titan.
you give me the rundown of Titan real quick, because like I'm probably going to be attending the event, so I just need to know. Obviously, I know Haodong and T-Virus Luke, but like
Because TRS is a player that can go very crazy. In one game, he can drop like 30s, and next game, he can just drop like 3 kills. So you just have to play like he perform well. I mean, and I think the best transition for them is from having RP to Lucas, because their communication is going to be back in Chinese completely. But I think Lucas is going to have a tough time, because I heard he might be calling, so I'm not sure how good he will do in his first international appearance. That would be their main problem. But after Hasley's experience to deal with like all this stuff, he's the most experienced coach in China, because leading EDG to so many world like international tournaments and stuff. I'm sure he can do a lot leading this new squad. They have Haodong, and after the experience is not going to be bad.
wow, I literally just realized that Lucas played on SAD.
Yeah,
he did.
he was an NA talent.
Oh,
Wow.
Sad has some really good players when we scream them in
this is
Toronto.
crazy. I mean, Bao. I like Ban Bao. And Bao was.
There's
like,
another
was like-
Chinese player on SAD, right? The J. I forgot his name.
Also
I'll be
follow-
honest though, I think EDG is gonna be cooked. Their group is hella. Well, actually, who
Bro.
has a harder group,
I
Billy
think
or
EDG, man.
No.
EDG.
There's a crazy group of death. There's a crazy
E
group of
for death.
Oh yeah. Look at Group D. 100 Thieves, Fnatic,
Yeah, that's
Gen.G,
what I said.
EDG.
Yeah, that's what I
Yo,
meant.
that
Like,
shit is cooked, bro.
EDG
That
is cooked.
Bro, that group.
But Paper
is
Rex,
fucking
Billy,
crazy.
G2, and Carmine is also kind of fucked, bro.
That is good.
And technically, based on Toronto results, Group A should be worse.
And I think what's worse is the opening matches or group stage matches are all BO1s.
they're BO1s.
BO1s.
Yes.
Oh,
they're BO1s.
my
shit.
BO1.
Yes. But only the first match is BO1.
Okay,
Only
well,
the first match.
so then that means that Xi Lai
Every other match is
Xi Lai's
BO3.
going to struggle against DRX,
DRX,
because
no way they beat DRX, man.
because their map pool, DRX in a best of one will have a better map pool than almost anyone they play, just because of the nature of their map pool structures, their picks and bans.
All right. That's gonna be it, yo. Thank you, Fayde. Thank you, Ominous. Obviously, Frost. Yo, we did another one. This is probably our longest episode in quite a bit of time. Thank you guys for attending. Congrats on your fucking results at Toronto, and hopefully you guys make champs, man. That shit's gonna be sick.
We got up
Yeah,
hella early
Hope
for
we go
us.
Paris together, Hector.
always, bro. Sorry.
Oh yeah, if this guy
fucked
doesn't
up, bro.
O2 barbecue
All
every
good.
fucking match, bro. Or actually, you know what the new curse is for Frost? It's the checkerboard. The win one, lose one. Win one, lose one.
Yeah,
That shit is
That's so sad, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel
That
about
actually is sad as shit. Because every
How do you feel
time,
about it?
I
every
feel like I
time they
suck.
win,
Everyone's right. What do you mean? Yeah, whatever, bro. I'm trash, bro. My bad.
Oh, it's okay. The pattern is gone. You're on a 4-lose streak now. You can only bounce
Oh,
back from here.
shit.
All good, Hector.
It's only up from here.
oh shit, he broke.
Hey, it's
out
only
of
up for
the
here.
pattern.
You're here now. You're gonna come back up. Okay, you have really good roster. Don't worry.
I know, but consistency matters, and I'm trash. You know, everybody's right.
It's okay. You guys were
No,
the champs last year. It's only a matter of time until you guys get your form back. This game, you just relies
the
too
hope.
much on meta and form.
Yeah, it's. But this is probably a better meta for you guys than the Teo one. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Teho made bad teams look good.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
oh, I know.
Oh, I know we already said we're wrapping up. What are you guys' thoughts on the new map and also the Waylay changes? I'm just very curious.
I'm the
I
only one
like
that
the
thinks
new
Waylay's
map.
good on my
I think
team. It's so
Waylay's
sad.
broken right now.
I
Like,
think Waylay is tier A to S in terms of
Mhm.
duelists. New map is really good.
I love the new map. I fucking love the
For
new
me,
map.
I like the new map. It's
Feels
like
like a veteran.
ancient in CS. It's a new kind of
Yeah.
unique map. And as for Waylay, I'm still not very high on Waylay.
For me, the
I
map
enjoy the map. I
Yeah,
understand.
feels like Split and the Sun had a baby. So it's like very tight road, but then
Mhm.
wallbangable walls and stuff. I'm not sure if they patched the wall banks and
I
stuff.
was
but
gonna say I do wonder if they're gonna change that, if they're gonna patch some of those, because
I
some of
think
them are a
that's-
little ridiculous. But
I see a lot of people complaining about that, but like, I think that's part of the like.
part of the map.
I think
right?
that's a good thing to have a map that is that spammable because now we get to see what that's also like.
It is a skill of
You
its
know?
own.
Yeah.
Like if you have a good like Odin player on your team, like the old Ascent shit.
Because I'll be honest, I don't like the Ascent change. Now that we've played a whole season of it, I'm not a fan of the Ascent change.
Sun is so boring.
Right.
I agree.
So
I hope they
Stay
change
there.
up A shot at least.
Yeah.
The only thing I liked about Ascent with the KO meta was the change of comps, because I was so sick of fucking seeing this KO shit. Even though we're probably back to the KO shit again. Yeah. All right. I just wanted to get you guys closing thoughts on that. I think that's a great fucking point to wrap it up. Almost 3 hours, bro.
yeah,
Oh,
Last time we did an episode like this
Ah.
was like last year.
it's okay. We can have it next time.
yeah. Again,
Yeah.
probably
At
other
Champs.
champs.
Hopefully we can all
Yeah.
do it
In
in
Paris.
person. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully I
Oui,
get
oui.
signed as well.
Moshe
Bro.
me.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. All right, y'all. All right.
Okay.
Peace.
All right.
Peace out.
Peace
Yeah.
out.
See you.
Good luck in your guys' match.